Live from Atlanta News First, this is the GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com drive for the GHSA state title.
Welcome into our drive for the GHSA state title bracket show. I'm your host, Landon Knight, joined by Craig Sager, Hayden Gilbert, and Rusty Manziel. Guys, it is so hard to believe that it is time for the postseason. This football season absolutely flew by. Tonight's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to break down every bracket, look at each classification, and get to hear from a coach from each classification. Rusty, I want to start with you. I was filling out these mock brackets and making my predictions. I want to hear all of your hot takes tonight. What classification do you feel has been most competitive this year?
Well, when you look at this thing, first of all, it got me in timeout. It got me over here in the corner over here on this side of the screen. So I'm going to make sure I'm right here. Let me tell you this. For me, it would be 4A. When you look at that bracket with Creekside, Cartersville, North Oconee, and all those schools, I think it's so deep. Benedictine, some of those schools. And listen, they're all going to be deep. But when you start looking at different classifications, I really think 4A, because of a lot of great coaches, a lot of great teams, several teams 10-0, defending state champions, North Oconee, we'll find out. But to me, the deepest is 4A.
And Hayden, I'll extend this question to you, but this year we've been able to see a lot of success in these programs with first-year coaches. Tonight we're going to get the opportunity to hear from Roswell head coach Jonathan Thompson. His first year with Roswell, seen a lot of success. What other first-year coaches have impressed you this year?
We're also going to hear in just a minute from Cameron Duke at Marietta, who's done an amazing job. Tied for the top seed in that classification. Other coaches, 4A Griffin, did an amazing job. Flyer Branch, my alma mater's Coach Perry's done an amazing job. Just a lot of really good first-year head coaches that are leading their teams to successful seasons.
And then, Craig, as I mentioned, we're going to start with this 6A classification. What quarterback has impressed you most from this classification?
There's a couple. I think Aiden Watson at Harrison, got to see him play the big game against McEachern. He has really stepped up and given them a chance to make a run in the postseason. And then I really like Max Walraven from West Forsyth. I know that they had some losses this season, but he's very experienced. And when you look at what West Forsyth did in the playoffs last year, making that quarterfinal run, he has a lot of game time experience under his belt. So I want to see what he's able to do.
And then, Rusty, before we get into this 6A classification, I just want to ask about some underrated players that you've seen from this classification.
Well, listen, when you look at 6A, I got a chance to see this firsthand a couple of weeks ago when we had McEachern at Harrison, and obviously that McEachern team's loaded. I've said it before. Kareem Reed's going to win a state championship in McEachern at some point, but I do think Harrison, when you look at DJ Huggins, the junior wide receiver, and I'll tell you how big a game he had. He had 3 touchdowns against McEachern. Let me give you some of his stats. 60 catches, 1,007 yards, and 14 touchdowns. He had offers from Florida Atlantic. He had offers from Georgia State. He had offers from some smaller schools. When he got into McEachern that night, it didn't take long. A few days later, Clemson turns around and offers him, and now it's on for DJ Huggins out of Harrison High School. I think he's way underrated in the 2027 class. He will be a player that when you face Harrison, you're going to have to know where he is at all times. He's different. He reminds me a lot of right now of current Ole Miss wide receiver Caden Lee. A little bit more, I think, top-end speed in Caden Lee coming from Kennesaw Mountain, right up the street there from Harrison High School. But I really love DJ Huggins in the junior class there at Harrison High School.
And then, Rusty, I'll start with you with the top left quadrant of this bracket. When I was filling out my mock bracket, you have the potential of seeing 2 nationally ranked teams in the quarterfinals. That's Grayson and Carrollton. They actually saw each other in state last year. Someone has to lose that matchup. They're going to be vying for that semifinal spot. What's going to be key in securing that win?
Well, first off, both those coaches would kill me for saying they're going to make it there. But obviously on paper, we have to do this, and you got to kind of look at that. And when you start thinking about that, make sure I'm here. You're going to look at Grayson, and you look at Carrollton there potentially in round 3. But you got Harrison and Marietta. You got Mill Creek and Colquitt. Big deal for Colquitt. Georgia running back commit Jay Lamar is back on the team playing with them. He makes them different. Always Josh Lovelady at Mill Creek's going to have a good job. Listen, it goes through Grayson. They've earned the right. This is a team that's nationally ranked. Some teams think this might be a top 2 or 3 team in the country defensively. They're outstanding. It's got to go through there. But, listen, the coaching there, you look at the coaching in that bracket, in that top quadrant, anything can happen. We learned that a couple years ago. I watched the team Walton get off the bus at Buford. I did the game on TV. I looked at those kids from Walton and I said, there's no way they're going to win tonight. You know what they did? They went and beat Buford. So you never say never. In this classification, at that quadrant, everybody's going to talk about Grayson and Carrollton, but don't count out the Colquitts. Don't count out Harrison if you get hot. But obviously, you got to start when you say potentially Elite 8 matchup of Carrollton and Grayson.
Yeah, and if I stick to that same quadrant, I got to see Grayson play Newton this year, and what stood out about this year's Grayson team You look at last year, they opened the season with that ugly loss to Collins Hill. They kind of went under the radar the entire season. This year, it's the complete opposite story. They came out looking like a championship team from the start. They got dealt with the injury at quarterback, but offensively, they did not slow down their pace whatsoever. And seeing them in person, we've televised the game every week this season. That is the fastest offense I've seen. It's not just no huddle. They are up there playing their own pace. So a team like Carrollton that's played such a clean season this year, really haven't made a lot of mistakes, Grayson's going to go out there and they're going to push the pace of the game to a level where I don't know if any other team in 6A has done it like they have.
No, I think when you look at a game like that, what gives you pause is Carrollton's quarterback play. They have two really good quarterbacks. They don't just have one. CJ Cypher's kind of become more of the passing quarterback. And when you have that elite passing game, that can really, at times, level the playing field. That game that Rusty was talking about, that Walton game, Jeremy Galinsky and Hunter Teal really leveled the playing field, even though they were less talented in that Buford team, because they were able to push the ball downfield and really create a lot of mismatches and score a lot of quick points.
And then, guys, now I want to look at the bottom left side of this quadrant in this bracket. Here you're going to see this Lowndes team. They went into the Wintersville Classic last week, seeing Valdosta undefeated, actually lost that game. How do you guys see them doing in the playoffs?
Yeah, they've been outstanding all season. In that matchup, we talked to Valdosta this week. They went man-to-man outside in the perimeter. They have a great secondary. They're able to kind of disrupt their offense a little bit, but that's an opportunity for Lowndes just to kind of reset. They're going to have some tough defenses in this same quadrant when you look at North Gwinnett, Hillgrove. So it's going to be interesting, but it was a tough loss, but it's to a rival, and Valdosta is a very good team. They've lost one game this season, and it was by 1 point.
I think they're going to go as far as Jace Johnson will carry him. Really good quarterback, still really raw at the quarterback position. However, he's a 4-star quarterback. He's a dang near 5-star at this point. When you put all that talent out there, if he can really put together in this playoff run, they could be a state title contender.
And then, Rusty, I'll extend this back to you again, but when you look at the top right side of this bracket, you're going to see McEachern and Walton have to see each other in that first round. We know McEachern has Casey Barner able to be really disruptive in games. What are you looking for in this matchup?
I'm telling you right now, McEachern's dangerous. You want to talk about a loaded 2028, 2029 class, their sophomore and freshman team are absolutely loaded. They got D1 prospects all over the field. I said this early in the year, McEachern could get really hot and they would be a dangerous team at the end. And guess what? They got better as the season went on. I think Coach Reed's doing a great job there. I'm interested in Valdosta. I didn't have Valdosta beating Lowndes last week, and you go look what they did to that team. And you mentioned Jace Johnson there. He was 4-14 last week. This is one of the most highly rated quarterbacks in the country right now, and Valdosta shut him down. You know Coach Felton's got a great defensive team. It'll be interesting there. Walton's a little bit young, but Coach Bruner will have them ready to playoffs. But when I look at some of these teams like Brookwood, Archer, you know, East Coweta is another team that kind of hit a kind of a stall out during the season. They got players. They got a really good junior class. To me, this goes through. It's got to go through McEachern and Valdosta, another potential Elite 8 game. And I'm telling you right now, I love Valdosta defensively. I know those kids are tough, but I'm telling you right now, I don't know that I would play McEachern in 3 weeks because they could get really hot. And they've got a dynamic player in Casey Barner. He's one of the best in the country already as a sophomore.
And then, Rusty, lastly, looking at that bottom right side of the bracket, you see Douglas County and Buford. We saw them play earlier this season, have the potential to face each other in the quarters. How do you think that this rematch might go?
No question about it. On paper, Douglas County can play with anybody. You know what I mean? And I think Coach White would tell you they haven't been hitting on all cylinders. Everybody I talked to about Douglas County, when they walk out, they look like a national champion. They got 2 tackles that are 6'7", 300 pounds. They got 2 Division I commits, Aaron Gregory, and all those wide receivers, and that whole team's loaded. They haven't put it together. If they do put it together, Douglas County can win it all right now. But it's time to go for them, and I'm sure Coach White's telling them that. Buford has just been strong all year. What's been missing with Buford in the last couple of years for me, when they get behind in the playoffs, they hadn't been able to catch up. I think Dayton Rayola has been good for them. I think they got a bunch of guys. Listen, Buford, as crazy as it sounds, they've been flying on the radar a little bit all year because everybody talks about Grayson, and you talk about Carrollton again. Buford, I think, is fine not being the show pony, so to speak, right now. But when you look at Buford, very, very loaded. Got a lot of physicality. You see that Tyreek Green kid going to Georgia. Everybody loves him. Dynamic player. We saw them earlier in the year. I don't know that Buford can win it all, but I guarantee you they're going to be one of the toughest outs. We'll see. But if it does get down to Buford and Douglas County in a rematch, you got to think that Coach White can motivate their guys, because on paper, Douglas County can play with anybody.
Now we will welcome Marietta football head coach Cameron Duke. Coach Duke, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, how are you guys doing tonight?
We're great, Coach. So your team is going to see Harrison in this first round of the playoffs. We got to see this team a couple weeks ago. They have been able to be very competitive offensively, but your team has been able to capitalize on defense. What do you need to see out of your team defensively to get this win?
Well, you got to slow down a dynamic quarterback that can beat you with his arm and legs. Their two receivers, 1 and 11, are dynamic. You got to win the turnover battle in a game like this. We're at their place. I think a lot of their program, they're well coached. They're really talented on the defense side, especially the linebacker position. We got our work cut out for us, but we're excited for the opportunity with a round one matchup right down the road at Harrison.
And then on that defensive side of the ball, you have Alec Huff, senior linebacker. What does he bring to your program?
I mean, he's the definition of a thermostat. And what I mean by that, he sets the temperature of our defense. He's a guy that he's going to play lights out every game. He's going to, when you watch us play, he's going to sell out. He's, a linebacker, maybe not the biggest stature, but his play and his effort and his energy is contagious. And he's been a leader for us on that side of the ball all year.
And then, Coach, talk a little bit about this bye week. A bye week before the first round of the playoffs, it could be a blessing for your team. How are you guys going to be able to take advantage of this?
Yeah, it was. Last week, we actually had a starting left guard, Michael Minervini, who was out, who we get back this week. We'll actually be the most healthy we've been all year, so going into next week. So we're able to get some guys back healthy. We were able to look at areas that we had to improve on, especially after our loss to North Paulding in a close game. We were able to kind of like reset and get healthy and say, hey, these are some areas we got to get better at as we prepare for a great round one matchup against Harrison. So it's been a benefit to us.
Then, Coach, I wanted to ask about kind of the end of this season. Y'all played 3 really, really tough games to end. 3 of your 4 final games were really, really tough ending this season. How did that kind of prepare y'all for this playoff run?
Yeah, I mean, I think our region's great, and we played tough competition basically all year. And, we inherited the schedule year one, and I think it's benefited us. It's been something that's been really good for us to play great teams, and I think our region's really well coached and has got great players throughout it. So, we were able to find some wins in tight games. That was big. The last game we did not. We played a great North Paulding team, well coached, and lost 28-24. But I was proud of our guys. I was proud of the effort. And now we're entering the playoffs, and everybody's good. You're in 6A in the state of Georgia. All 32 teams are well coached and ready to go. So we got our work cut out for us, but I like where we are. I like our senior leadership on this team, and we're excited about, entering week 1 next week.
And then, Coach, I wanted to ask about y'all's playoff game. Normally you have to make a pretty long road trip if you're on the road, but y'all going just down the road to Harrison. Talk to me about this kind of close, almost rivalry-like atmosphere that's going to be there on Friday night.
Well, yeah, I'm learning, this whole year about all the ins and outs of where we are and being a first-year head coach at Marietta. I have nothing but great respect for Harrison and their program, what they've done all year and what they've done the last couple of years with their new staff. They're extremely well coached. They play a tough brand of football. They're 9-1. When you look at them, I have just the utmost respect for them. Our program does. It's right down the road. We're excited. A lot of our guys know their guys and vice versa, I'm sure. We got to go play well. We're excited about the opportunity, but yeah, we got to play well. It's a good team. They're good in all 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams. So hats off to Harrison, their staff, their program, their players. But we're getting prepared, and we're looking forward to this.
And, Coach, in week 3 of the season, your team had to see that McEachern team had a close loss, 16-13. What did you maybe learn about your team in a matchup like this?
We got a bunch of warriors on our team, and I'm so proud of our senior class. We got 28 seniors, and these guys battle, and they're going to play to the end of the whistle for 48 minutes. And that was a game that hats off to Coach Reed and McEachern and their great year. But we had a chance to win that game. We did not, and we learned a lot from that. But, I saw the grit and the toughness that I want our team to be about against a great McEachern team that week.
And then, Coach, in this North Paulding matchup, you guys had to play from behind a little bit. You talked about some injuries on the offensive line. So the run game, maybe you guys were passing out of necessity, but how do you feel just going into this matchup, the importance of being able to find success on the ground?
Well, in the playoffs, when you travel, two things that travel well are defense and being able to run the football. And we want to be able to do that well. We are preparing to be able to run the football well. We didn't run it as well as we wanted to against a good North Paulding team. Hats off to them. We threw it a little bit more that game, but we want to be able to be balanced. We want to be able to take what the defense gives us, and that's in the run or pass game. And we feel that we're going to be healthy. I'm grateful for that, and we look forward to hopefully be balanced against the Harrison team that you have to be.
And then, Coach, how has Jaden Whiteside done this season engineering your offense?
I've never been more proud of a quarterback. I've been head coach now. It's my 12th year, and his growth this year has been exceptional. He's such a leader for us. He someone that owns his mistakes and looks to get better every week. And if you look at his first half of the season to the back half of the season, I don't think you'll find a quarterback in our state that has progressed more than him. He's a leader of our team. He does it every day. He wants to get better, and he's playing really good football. So we're in the playoffs for a lot of different reasons, but one of the main reasons is because of Jaden Whiteside's play.
And then, Coach, what have you seen from Isaac Copeland? You're tied in. He had a big performance last week. Just what he's been able to bring to the passing game.
Yeah, he's a junior. He plays H-back, tight end, slot receiver. We kind of use him all over. He's kind of a jack of all trades for us. I can't tell you how proud I am. His journey this year and some of the stuff that he's had to walk through off the field this year. I couldn't be more proud of a football player on our team than Isaac Copeland, just from his perseverance, who he is. And I'm so grateful he's only a junior. He's also really physical at the point of attack in the run game. We ask him to do a lot. He's extremely intelligent. We move him all over the place. And yeah, he had a big game last week. He's had a really great year, and just an incredible young man, testament to his mom and his family. But I'm so fortunate that I have a chance to coach him, and that also he's only a junior.
And then, Coach, we know turnovers are going to play a huge part in this, but what's the rallying cry going to be for your team?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You got to win the turnover battle. You got to limit explosive plays that they're able to produce on their side of the ball offensively. And then we got to score inside the red zone. It's going to be a 48-minute game, 4 quarters, play to the end of the whistle. But great defense, be able to run the football effectively and win over the turnover battle. That's usually what, carries over for success in the playoffs.
Again, that was Marietta football head coach Cam Duke. Coach Duke, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank y'all. Thank you for all you do for our great state of high school football. So appreciate y'all.
We'll be right back after this short break to break down that 5A classification, one of the most competitive ones. Don't go anywhere.
Nobody wants to hear
Coach
the word
Goodrum's
roaches,
name.
because who wants to admit they have roaches?
I actually found some weird roaches. I didn't know what they were. I decided to choose Breda. I reached out to them. They check in routinely. They're explaining what they're doing. So there's a lot of clarity in the process as well. I think that just speaks to the level of safety that I feel with the organization.
The facts are, roaches are everywhere in our environment. So what are you doing to keep them out of your home?
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know, just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting GoGCSO.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.
The drive for the GHSA state title is brought to you by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today.
Welcome back into the drive for the GHSA state title bracket show. Now we're going to look at this 5A classification. Rusty, I'm going to throw it back to you. Who are some of the underrated players you've seen in this 5A classification?
Well, I don't know that he's quite underrated because he is committed to Memphis, but Will Rajecki from Sequoia High School, this is a guy that I've loved. I mean, he had 7 touchdowns in a game against Sprayberry. We saw Sprayberry. They're a great team. They're 9-1. In the region championship 2 weeks ago, he had 230 yards. He had 230 yards and 4 touchdowns total. I mean, this is a guy that can do everything. It's a team that, you know, I know that if you play them, the physicality of Sequoia, they're going to come downhill on you. That big offensive line. It's a team that made a deep run last year, didn't quite get there, a little bit banged up, but seemed to be getting healthy. But, look, he's committed to Memphis. I know there's some rumors about their coach. I talked to him today. He and his family are on their way up there for a visit this weekend. They're hoping that coach stays there. But this is a young man that, quite honestly, I had to basically tell him to quit coming to camp, quit coming to compete. You worry about Sequoia. He would go anywhere at any time to compete. And I think everybody that faces him, including Gainesville last year, when he knocked out Gainesville, their staff was texting me after the game going, this guy's a real deal. Not sure he gets the national recognition he does, but for me, it's Will Rajecki at Sequoia High School.
And then, Craig, also, I'll extend this to you as well, but in this classification, who are some of the quarterbacks that have stood out?
Well, we got Noonan's Brody Campbell. He's put up massive numbers this season. Noonan's a great program. Coach Chip Walker, they're not afraid to air it out. You expect him to go out there any given game and pass 25, 30 times. He's averaging about 240 yards per game, tons of numbers. And then Trey Smith at Roswell. I don't know if you can find a better high school football player. I think he'll be great at the next level, but he can do it all. His power running, his passing, his leadership. I'm really excited to see him in playoff form.
And Rusty, we'll start with the top left side of this bracket. Here you're going to see Thomas County Central is going to see Woodstock in that first round, but this Thomas County Central team has been so dominant on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. They've had so many shutouts this season. How are you expecting them to do?
Well, listen, 5A is deep bracket, and when you start talking about the amount of coaches, the amount of teams, I mean, you look at Roswell, Rome, Milton, Sprayberry, I mean, Houston County, Sequoia, Langston Hughes. It has to start somewhere, and to me, it starts with Thomas County Central. I think they've got 34 seniors. This is a group of kids that's grown up together. There's a lot of physicality there. They will get after you on offense and defense. They will not let up. You know, I'm not saying they're the overall favorite, but to me, when you start talking about a quadrant, it starts for me with Thomas County Central. Woodstock's had a great turnaround, great opportunity there. You might as well face it early on and find out what you got. But, you know, in that particular bracket right there, I think everybody would agree with me. It's going to go through Thomas County Central and see who can give them a game right there. I do want to give a special shout out to a new school, Second-Year High School. I think this is their first playoff they've made, and a quick turnaround. My man DJ Shockley, my good buddy, his daughter cheerleader there. I think his son's in middle school program there, right up. I think this school split with Buford, split off from Buford and Mill Creek. So congratulations to Second-Year. I hope you guys enjoy it.
And then, Craig, let's look at the bottom left side of this bracket as well. I want to ask about this Roswell-Shamley matchup. So we actually got to see Roswell play last week against Milton. And what I find interesting about this matchup is that Milton has a very sophomore-heavy team, but Shamley does as well. They have quarterback Braden Doss, but what we saw from Roswell is that offensively they have Trey Smith, Nick Pill. They're very, very explosive on the offense. How are you expecting this matchup to go?
Well, I think Roswell's offense pretty much looks unstoppable right now. They are just cruising on all cylinders. They're so successful in the red zone. They can control the time of possession, and they can really just dictate the physicality of the game up front. Their offensive line going into the season, we didn't know how good they would be, but I feel like they've really come together, and this is a complete offense.
Now let's look at the top right side of this bracket as well. So, Rusty, here you're going to see Hughes and Gainesville. Just talk to me about both of these programs.
I mean, you look at Hughes and Gainesville, obviously a lot of star power there, but man, I got a chance to see Sprayberry, and I thought Sprayberry was fantastic. I realized how athletic they were. I know they got a couple of SEC prospects committed on their teams right now. Lee County's always going to be a tough team, going to be physical there. I want to say one thing going back to Roswell after seeing them last week. I tell you what Trey Smith does. He's an equalizer. This is a guy You come into a game plan, and Roswell might not be the biggest team. They may not be the fastest team, but Trey Smith can make things equal in a heartbeat. The pace they play at last week, I could not have been more impressed with Roswell. And Trey Smith is hitting on all counters. Man, he's a point guard. He can do it all. Really, really love what Coach Thompson's doing there. They're going to be a very tough out. But you look at Langston Hughes. It starts up front for them, always physical. They're 10-0. They've been steamrolling opponents. Gainesville hit a couple of bumps in the road. They got beat by Roswell and had a couple losses. This season I think they wish they would have had back. But you look on paper, Gainesville is as good as anybody. Brunswick's a team you don't know a ton about. I know a little bit about them coming off the coast. This is a very big team. They got a tight end that's 6'5", 310 pounds, committed to Florida. Yes, a tight end that's 300 pounds. So you look at that bracket, to me, that is a very, very dangerous bracket because I think Sprayberry, to me, would worry me speed-wise because on one Friday night, they can give you a lot of issues there because they'll stress you offensively with all those guys that can run.
And then Hayden, let's look at the bottom right side of this bracket here. There's two different teams I want to ask about. First, starting with this Milton team I just mentioned. We saw them play last week. They're very sophomore heavy right now. After that 2024 season, they lost 17 starters. They do have a loss this season also to that Gainesville team, but they're going to see Shiloh in the first round. How are you expecting them to do?
I mean, I know Coach Reese would be upset, but they should go into and win that game. Shiloh's a good football team. They've taken a step forward this year, but Milton is so talented, even if they are young. I believe they're going to get their quarterback, Baker, back from his broken arm that he suffered in week 1 against Buford. Now, that's a question mark because Ben Levy's been playing really well, but you have a 3-star quarterback on the bench. I think you have to play him if he's healthy. And you put all that together, there's still a team that can make a deep playoff run. So I really think Milton should come out of this with a win and maybe should be the team that comes out of this quadrant.
And then, Hayden, another team I want to ask about is Jackson County. They're going to see Glenn Academy in that first round. What have you seen from them this season? I mean,
that's a tough matchup for them. I think they should win. Coach Mobbs over there has done an amazing job. That's a team that has never won a region title. Before last year, hadn't hosted a playoff game. They still haven't won a playoff game. This will be their first chance to do that. And then they'll probably face off with Milton in the next round. But they have the ability to at least give Milton a game. They're really talented. They're really well coached. They're really big on the offensive line. I think this is a team that maybe could make the quarterfinals if they could, just depending on how that game with Milton falls out. But just an amazing job by Coach Mobbs.
And Rusty, we mentioned that this is a very competitive classification, but who are some of your sleeper teams?
Well, I'd say this, not just because I'm from there. I'm telling you right now, Rome had 2 early losses, and they got beat up. They will tell you they got beat up by Creekside, and they lose a tough one to Carrollton in the game. They had to lead late in the game and were unable to close it out. Not the strongest region, but Rome has got better and better and better. They're always a physical football team. They've lost twice, I think 2 out of the last 3 years in tight games at Thomas County Central. So they've been knocked out by teams like that. But Rome, to me, is a guy that is a team that I would watch. And listen, Rome could potentially play Houston County in the second round. So there's a hard matchup there between those 2 different regions. I'll say this, going back, though, and you mentioned Milton. You take that region with Roswell, Gainesville, and Milton. I know they all want to be region champs, and nobody wanted to be 3, and nobody wanted to be 2 in that region. The goal is region champs. It would not surprise me at all to see those 3 teams right there win a couple of games minimum, at least 3 of those, and maybe 2 of those teams in the Final Four, maybe beyond.
Now we're going to welcome Roswell coach to the desk, Jonathan Thompson. Coach Thompson, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank y'all for having me on.
So, Coach, when we spoke earlier last week, you mentioned your team not getting monotonous and finding something to focus on each week in practice. What has your team been focusing on this week?
I think we had a really good week of practice. We were able to do a lot of best-on-best stuff and really work on us. Because when you play this late and you play this long, you know, you've been doing this since you started installs back in February in the classrooms, and now here we are in early November. You've just got to continue to find things to get better at. So I thought our staff did a really good job this week of identifying those things and giving it to them in multiple ways, whether it was on film or on paper or even at practice. So if we can just find one thing to get better at as an individual, we'll be fine.
So, Coach, in the first round, your team's going to face Shamley. They're also very sophomore heavy. When you saw Milton, also very sophomore heavy, how do you feel that your program having a lot of seniors is going to give you the advantage in this matchup?
I think that's really been the story of us all year, right, is the experience that we have I think we've got a group of seniors that have played together for a long time, whether it's Trey or Wills or Jake. I mean, there's just so many of them that have been playing feeder ball together since they were in 3rd grade. And so we just got a great leadership and a great senior class. So when hard times come, they know how to face them and they know how to face them head on. So I think you culminate, obviously, our senior class along with our schedule that we've played, and it'll help us in the playoffs.
And then, Coach, we've talked about Trey Smith a lot already, but I want to ask you about Nick Peel and how he's able to complement Trey Smith and really bring that physical running game.
Man, when you meet Nick, he's just got a great personality, and you want him to be the first guy off the bus. So we're happy to have him. He's a great 1-2 punch back there, him and Trey, and he's willing to do everything. You know, I've been fortunate enough the last 2 years to have complete backs, and when you got a guy that's willing to pass pro, that's willing to lead block for quarterbacks, that can catch it out of the backfield, that makes it a challenge for people to play us defensively, because they've got to account for another guy in all facets of what we do.
And then you guys were named the Georgia High School Football Daily Team of the Week after your big win over Milton. And it really was a team victory. That game had it all 3 phases. What was that celebration like just for really the entire group, the entire roster to be able to celebrate that honor?
I think it was a really big deal, obviously, for our team, right? But it was a really big deal for our community. There was a lot of people, whether it was the administration or people in the community of Roswell, that were just so excited about beating Milton because, you know, obviously Milton had beat us for a while. And for it to be on Halloween night on TV, and y'all do such a great job, and just to have that venue and it be for a region championship and to win in the fashion that we did, didn't get any better for our community and our program.
And then, well, let's talk real quick about that win, how you guys were able to just handle the moment and the decision to go out there, line up for the field goal and the confidence.
There was no second guessing that. When you have a kicker like Ballant, it's pretty easy. Our long snapper is as good as it gets in high school too, been doing it a long time, and Seth Lerner, he's spot on. So there was no hesitation for us. We felt like offensively, as the play caller, if I could get it somewhere around the 30, we were going to have a good chance with Ballant, right? Obviously, we would have liked him further, but with Ballant in that situation, you know, he hit a big game-winning kick against Walton early in the year, and he didn't flinch in that moment, and we didn't expect him to flinch in the one we had this past Friday, and he didn't at all, and he knew he was going to make it before he did it.
And Coach, when we talk about players like Brody Duffy, you mentioned to me that he's really the voice of your defense. Just talk about what he brings to this defensive side of the ball.
So intelligent. I'm so glad that I don't have to go against him as much as I did in the spring and the summer and early fall camp. We still do best on best periods a decent amount, so I still have to deal with him understanding everything we do. But when you go against a Mike backer that can pull the strings, that can line people up, and that is that intelligent, and then you throw in the physicality with it, and again, just another kid that's been a part of the Roswell community, that's been a part of this program for a long time. So when you think of the Roswell defense, you think of guys like Brody Duffy, and we're so happy to have him.
And Coach, you've gone from one really challenging region in Class 5A to another one, so you're really familiar with just the level of talent. I mean, how competitive is this 5A state playoffs going to be?
It's deep. You know, I think that's the cool thing about, you know, all the classifications are great, right? If you're one of the 32 that makes it, it's going to be tough, and you're going to earn it. But I think 5A is especially deep, you know, whether it's that region down there in South Georgia where they've got, obviously, a lot of physicality, a lot of great players. You know, every year those groups are going to make a run, or the one that's right next to us in Sequoia and River Ridge, and obviously Sprayberry's really good, and you go down southeast towards Brunswick and Glenn. I mean, there's just so many really good football teams, and obviously Langston played for it last year in that region. Woodward's been a really good team for a long time. So again, when you play in Class 5A, you know it's going to be tough. I think for us, we've played a really good non-region schedule. The region's really tough with Gainesville and Milton to finish it up the way we did. And then, yeah, I mean, I think that obviously I've been a part of a program where we had to play that gauntlet, and then we had to go and do it again in the playoffs. And, you know, I talked to Coach Fabrizio a lot about this. The teams that understand how to play in game 13, 14, and have that competitive stamina, those are the ones that typically play the longest.
And then, Coach, when you look at your record, you've only seen one loss this season to that Buford team, a nationally ranked team. What can you learn in matchups like this?
Well, when you play a team like Buford, they're going to expose your weaknesses. So it was a really good opportunity for us to see, okay, this is where we've got to be better at in order to play as long as we want to. So I think it's important that you play a non-region schedule that we did. And again, when you play a team like Buford and as well coached as those guys are, and that's what people don't understand about Buford. Yeah, they're talented, but from a schematic standpoint, they're going to have answers in everything that you do because of how good they are on both sides of the ball from a staff perspective. So we left that game knowing we had a really good team that was connected. We didn't flinch in that moment, and that was probably what we were most proud about because the game got away from us in the second half due to special teams and some mistakes offensively and defensively. But I thought we really did a good job from a player perspective, from a coach perspective of, hey, let's not flinch. Let's get to work Monday and let's get better. And, you know, it's worked out well for us so far.
And Coach, I was really impressed with special teams in this last matchup. It wasn't just the game-winning field goal. You guys were great in kick coverage, the return game. So, I mean, how much progress have you seen in that department?
A lot. Coach Darius Brooks is our special teams coordinator, and we spend a lot of time talking about it on Sundays. We spend a lot of time meeting about it, right? So we have special teams meetings during the week. We spend a lot of time at practice on special teams. You know, we've still got things we want to clean up on special teams. Obviously, we would have loved to have not given the ball back to Milton the other night when we were in a hands team situation, and then Ballot doesn't have to kick that game-winning kick. But we think that I think that Coach Brooks has done a great job, and we've just got kids that sell out on special teams, and that's the thing. When you get kids that don't take plays off on special teams, you got a chance to be really good on it. When you get kids that think, it's kickoff, it's punt return, it's PAT, that's when you're not very good. But we've got, again, just special kids that understand every moment matters, every chance we get is important.
And Coach, we talk about how competitive this 5A classification is, but you had a super close win over that Gainesville team, 37-35. What did you learn about the toughness of your team from this game?
You know, that was the moment for us where I think we knew that we could win this region, right? I think, again, I've said this many times, when you play at Roswell and when you coach at Roswell, you expect to win every game. You expect to play 15 games and you expect to win every one of them. But for every team, there's kind of that moment that you look back on of, man, we really gained a lot of confidence. And when we had the stop on the one in that situation, and then to take it 99 yards over 6 minutes to kind of ice it, you know, I think it really gave a boost to our kids. It gave a boost to our program. And it was just, again, a testament to how hard those guys have worked defensively to get that stop. And then just confidence offensively. There was never, I think we were faced with 3 third downs on that drive in critical situations. And it was like 1 in 10, Trey and Wills, and 7, Nick, just found ways to be successful on third down. And that was the key to that night. We were 13 of 16 on third down. And when you can do that in that type of environment, because Gainesville's got an elite environment and an elite roster and a great coaching staff, that was just a huge moment for us.
Again, that was Roswell football head coach Jonathan Thompson. We'll be right back after this short break to talk about the 4A classification. Stay tuned.
The GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com Drive for the GHSA state title is sponsored by Score Atlanta. Check out our brand new website at scoreatl.com. Georgia high school sports have never looked better. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 613. Electrify your career. Sports Turf. We pursue perfection because it's your legacy. And by Kroger. Enjoy free delivery, 2 times fuel points, streaming benefits, and more with Boost from Kroger.
Welcome back to the Drive for the GHSA State Title Bracket Show. Now it is time to break down this Class 4A bracket. We've got Max Wyborski, Jack Gallagher, and Rusty Manziel to do it. I feel like this classification has the most divided opinions on who is going to come out as the state champion. There's a lot of favorites, a lot of impressive teams, but I want to throw it to Rusty. Rusty, we started out the season looking at this Creekside team play Rome. They're down big in that game. They end up just turning on another gear. What has impressed you just about this year's Seminoles?
Well, first of all, I think they scored on 7 drives in a row against Rome, and that's something you never see. The physicality, you don't ever see Rome kind of get pushed around. And that night, quite frankly, Creekside announced their authority with a lot of presence that night. They pushed Rome around. I'd never seen that before being from that area, and I knew right then they had a different group with them. They talked about the offseason, but they haven't stopped, guys. I mean, they have absolutely steamrolled. They go out and DeSoto, Texas comes over here, ranked whatever they were, and they got some too, and they went back home. Everybody that's got in front of Creekside has got steamrolled. This is a team that on paper, you know, set one of the state record in points, you know, in 10 games. These guys are doing it both sides of the ball. They got a great quarterback. They got a great defense. They got a huge offensive line. They got a great defensive line. They got a good special teams. They check every single box. But I do think, guys, as we dig into this 4A bracket, to me, this is the deepest, and I cannot wait to see how this thing plays out.
Absolutely, and there's some intriguing first-round matchups. If you have one that you want to shout out, go ahead. But what quadrant is really drawing your attention, Rusty?
Well, you look at to me, I think they're pretty even, but you look at the one in the bottom right corner right here, when you start on this side of me right here, you start talking about North Oconee, you look at Marist, you look at Stockbridge, a team you guys are going to talk about, Blessed Trinity, that's going as a 3 seed. Nobody want to play Blessed Trinity as a 3 seed. Hiram's a team that, you know, made a run last year. Stars Mills, another good team. Don't know a ton about ML King. I do know that Perry, with Coach Smith's always going to have a really good football team come out of Middle Georgia. So to me, you know, North Oconee losing Kamari Brooks changed the bracket, and with them being defending state champs, they got all these seniors, Harrison Faulkner, they're absolutely loaded, both sides of the ball, been impressed. But when you lose a player of the caliber of Kamari Brooks, I feel like you lose 2 to 3 players because he was your best player on offense, to me, and he was your best player on defense. He could impact the game in so many ways. North Oconee's going to have to overcome that. A very, very senior team. We'll see if they can defend their state championship.
Certainly. They've got an interesting matchup against a tough Perry team, number 4 seed. Max, you love Class 4A. It's your favorite classification, very deep. What excites you about this bracket?
Well, if you look at the top right of this bracket with the Ola-Cambridge matchup, the battle of 2 second-year head coaches in Dustin Atkins and Tyler Jones, who came over from Walton. 2 explosive offenses that have just been putting up points this year with Cambridge and Craig Dandridge as well. And then you go down in the bottom there and you see Benedictine, who's just got maybe the most underrated quarterback in the classification in Stephen Cannon. And that connection that he has with Bubba Frazier as well, the Notre Dame commit, has been really special this season.
Yeah, certainly they'll be dangerous. And then we're going to throw it to Jack about Kell. But real quick, what I'll say about the Longhorns this year, they've found a way to win games in a variety of different ways. You look at the BT game, a 3-0 victory. They've had some dominant wins as well. It looks like this year's Kell team has something special.
I do think they have something special. You look at that Blessed Trinity game, I don't know what adjective you want to use to describe that win. You get out with a win nonetheless, 3-0. The 2 losses are to 6A Lowndes and 5A Sequoia. Probably just outmatched talent-wise in those games. Other than those games, they run the table. I'm really curious to see what happens when they take on this Hampton team. Obviously, Kamari Dorsey just committed to Texas A&M. He does it on both sides of the ball for Hampton. And then Decatur's finest, Southwest DeKalb, a potential second-round matchup. And then the undefeated team in this bottom left quadrant is Cartersville. I like my boys. I think they have a chance against Cartersville. Cartersville, I think, was the beneficiaries of a weaker region in this Class 4A. So we'll see what happens with his bottom left quadrant, but I like how Kel stacks up against some of these teams, and this is going to be the quadrant in this bracket that I'm probably most excited for.
Yeah, and Rusty, what's your take on that? Teams like Creekside, teams like Cartersville, not really tested in region play like some of the other ones we're talking about with Kel.
Let me say this, too. When we start talking about this bracket, those coin flips, guys, are going to be so important because you start talking about Benedictine, guys, that's one of the best home field advantages of anybody. If you have to go to Southeast Georgia to play them there, you're in trouble. I know this, too, being from Northwest Georgia. Cartersville on a Friday night, Cartersville in a semifinal game is different level. They will be on you from the time you get off the bus. So not only we have great teams, great experiences, guys, as we move forward into these next couple of weeks, we start seeing these coin flips, that's going to determine things because I'm telling you right now, you take teams like Creekside and you have to go on the road, maybe to potentially to a Cartersville, maybe potentially to a Kel. You look at North Oconee, which is a great home field advantage if you have to go up there too. To me, some of these things are going to be separated. Is going to be on that coin flip and who winds up being the home teams later in the bracket.
Yeah, and Rusty, when I look at this bracket and try to pinpoint a team that maybe has the most senior experience, Central Carroll is a team that has a ton.
Yep, and I'll say this too, their quarterback, J.R. Harris, the junior, listen, I got a friend that loves dynamic quarterbacks. I got a friend that's all they talk about is give me a dynamic quarterback, somebody can make plays with their legs and throw the ball. Go watch J.R. Harris at Central Carroll. This kid's thrown for 2,000 yards. Is he 5'10"? Yes, he's 5'10". It doesn't matter. Watch what he does. Not only can he get outside the pocket, he make every single throw. He's got a great arm. When he throws that RPO slant, man, this gets out of his hands live. This is a 3-year starter for that program. He's seen everything, done everything there. They've won big games. They've won games on the road. I think Central Carrollton at 10-0, guys, is flying under the radar. They got players up front, physical. But to me, you know, as we talk about Trey Smith, and that Roswell team, to me, J.R. Harris would be the guy that I would be most worried about because he can neutralize some of that talent deficiency they may have because he's going to stretch you defensively every single play because he can hurt you with his legs and his arm. And, guys, he can make all the throws. He can throw on top of you, underneath. He's 5'10". It doesn't matter in today's game. This guy can still make throws.
You know what else I like about Central Carroll, Rusty, is Jonas Walton, the Notre Dame commit, his little brother, is that his little brother?
Yes.
So backing him up? Yeah, they're going to hit you in both ways, running or passing. J.R. Harris, 31 passing touchdowns on the ground, but this team this year has rushed for over 2,000 yards, so they're going to hit you in both ways.
Yeah, and then let's talk about some other teams in this top left of the bracket. You have Locust Grove winning their first ever region title. That's a very underrated region. Teams like Stockbridge and Ola. Griffin is a team that's had a lot of success this year. They're on the up and coming. Flowery Branch has had a great year also. But Rusty, what do you make of Ware County and Warner Robins, where they've looked as good as anyone in certain games, but then there's a little inconsistency?
Well, I'll tell you this. Everybody, I know a lot of people want Robbins, and the message was consistent. Rusty, we're very young. We're a year away. But guess what? As the year went on, they got better, and they got better. And they had a huge win last week. Now they're kind of rolling. That's what happens, guys, with these teams. You get these younger kids, and you think, you know what? We're a year away. Let's finish this the best way we can and get the spring ball. No, they're not done. They're getting more out of these younger kids. So Warner Robins is a team I know historically is a name, and they've done well. They felt like it was going to be a down year where some of the younger kids had to replace a lot of guys. But I'm telling you right now, Warner Robins is getting hot at the right time. But Ware County is always physical, always tough. This is always a tough region. You don't want to go down to the swamp in Waycross. They're probably going to be on the road as long as they win. They got a kid named Tayshawn Franklin, a guy we've had 3 times, I think, in the Georgia Elite Classic. Plays tight end, plays running back. This guy can absolutely do it, plays both sides of the ball. I think he just picked up an offer from Army this week. He's got Naval Academy, some of those service academies. He is a really good football player. Worked him out last year at MVP camping down in Valdosta. Ware County, physical. You know they're well coached. That would be a tough out for me. I would not want any part of that for like in a round 2 or round 3 game because they've got enough athletes to hurt you.
Yeah, and then some other teams that we haven't even mentioned. You got Cass, a very underrated team. And then what about Cambridge, Max?
Yeah, no, it was with having Craig Dandridge out there and the outside of their offense just been really huge for them. He's just a big play guy who's been making catches all year, making big plays for them. He's just going to be a big play guy for the rest of his career as well.
Yeah, pretty much unguardable. But we have a great guest coming up right now. It's going to be Bobby May, head coach of the Kel Longhorns. I got a Kel alum right here with Jack. We'll welcome him onto the show to talk about the Longhorns. Coach May, do we have you?
Yeah, I'm here.
So, Coach May, What has just impressed you about the fight of this year's team, the ability to win games in different ways?
Yeah, I think what's been impressive is obviously we have a lot of returning starters from last year, but I think the ability to win with defense, and then obviously the ability to score some points when needed. But I think the biggest thing is that the guys that we have aren't really counting stats and aren't really worried about getting touches and things like that, or aren't really worried about who makes a tackle. They're just supporting their teammates, and I think that's been the most fun thing. But we've been happy so far with how we've been progressing, and hopefully we keep playing well.
And do you get the sense that this team really feels like you guys are playing your best ball at the right time?
Yeah, I think we were peaking at the right time towards the end of the season. We had last week off too, so we've been off for an extra week on top of everybody. So hopefully that doesn't change as we move into this. But we feel like we've been playing really, really well down the stretch in our region schedule, which is kind of what you aim for. So we're looking forward to getting back after it next Friday.
Coach, first of all, hook 'em. Second of all, I graduated the year before you got there. When I was there, seeing it a little bit more up close, obviously you had COVID, you had some up and down years, felt like the team didn't have a lot of moxie. You come in, 2 region titles in the last 3 years. Talk to me about reestablishing the culture and the growth you've seen in your time at Cal.
Yeah, I think first off, we're lucky to have a really, really good administration who believes in, the football program and believes in us doing well. And I was able to put together and add to an already good staff. So I think that was great. And then obviously there's always been talent at Cal. So, it's hard to say that Cal was ever really down, but because we've made the playoffs, 18 or 19 years in a row now. So it's not that they were ever down. We just kind of needed a retooling or kind of a refiguring. And I think we've been able to do that, just kind of instilling our principles. But again, like it starts with administration and having a great staff, and the kids buy into it. So, going into year 4, this is year 4 now. So we're seeing a lot of those kids that were there when I was when I started as freshmen. So we're seeing kind of the fruits of our labor now. So it's been exciting so far.
And Coach, we saw you guys earlier this season against South Paulding, as in the clip showed here, in our Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. What are some ways you feel your team has grown since that first game of the season?
Yeah, I think defensively we've been more consistent, and I think on special teams we gave up a kick return for a touchdown in that game, and that was really it as far as when the starters were in. But I think special teams wise we've gotten a lot better. We've had a lot of kids. A lot of our starters play special teams, and they buy into it, and they want to play special teams, which is different than the past. In the past, sometimes we've maybe had to beg some kids to play, and and then on defense, we've always been talented, but I think we've been playing really, really tough and physical on really up front on defense and on the offensive line. Really, we've been playing physical, so that's been good to see since the first game.
And then, Coach, talking about your defense, you have a talented trio of defensive backs on that defense, and Joel Comby, Tony Forney, and Jalen Williams. What do they really bring to the back end of your defense?
Yeah, so they're all a little bit different. Jalen's like your true cover guy. He can play some free safety too, and he actually is one of those guys. He has 4 onside kick recoveries on kickoff. So like he begs to play special teams every week, but he's a lockdown corner. He's going to cover your best guy every week, and and he's done a really good job with that. I mean, he covered who I think is the best receiver in the state, which is Craig at Cambridge, and only let up 3 receptions, for around 38 yards against Cambridge, which obviously was a huge key to our success in that game. And then Tony, Tony's like the Swiss Army knife. Like he probably could play 7 positions for us. He could play inside linebacker. He's played corner. He's played free. He's played strong safety for us. Like he can just do everything. And he's just such like a great leader for us. And last year especially, he played all over the place, and he's going to make a play. We call him Touchdown Tony. He's got 2 interceptions for touchdowns this year and 2 kick returns for touchdowns this year. So at some point, like Tony's going to make a play, and he did in the late in the third quarter of the Cambridge game, had an interception that stopped kind of their final push at it. And then Joel is very similar to Tony. he's extremely smart, and he's just a physical specimen. He also returns kicks for us and plays receiver for us. Really, really good ball skills, and he can cover. We ask him to cover the back out of the backfield a lot. We also ask him to cover the middle of the field, and it's hard to throw over the top on him. So we're really lucky to have those guys for sure.
And then, Coach, I wanted to just ask you about Mooney Gibson, what you've seen from him late in the season.
Yeah, I mean, it was all kind of part of our plan to kind of gradually increase his touches as we went on through the region. He didn't get he wasn't getting 25, 30 carries a game in the first half of our season, which again was all part of the plan. And now, obviously, as his carries increase, you're going to see his numbers increase. And he had a good game against Blessed Trinity, just never really broke that big run like we're accustomed to. And then, but since then, he's averaging over 200 yards a game since that game. And against Cambridge, had a huge game, obviously. And I think, like I said, I think he's peaking at the right time. He looked faster than I've ever seen him against Cambridge. His body feels better than it did last year at this time. So we're excited for him moving forward. And obviously, he's a huge piece of our offense. I think the underrated thing that he does well is he's really good in pass pro, and also he can catch the ball out of the backfield, which is something he's improved a lot over the last 3 years.
Coach, last question here. I want to ask how you approach 2 bye weeks in a row leading up to the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if we did it right, but last week, the first bye week, we really didn't do much. We lifted and we ran a little, we sprinted a little bit, but we really didn't do any any real practice. We just wanted to kind of focus on getting healthy and let the kids be kids a little bit and go home after school. And then this week we did get after it a little bit with some good on good stuff all week. We went 3 hard days this week, and then like you said, as you get to this point in the playoffs, it's more about you than about who you play. So it's not that we're not preparing for Hampton, because of course we are doing some things to prepare for Hampton, some film and things like that. But we wanted to really focus on putting our best players against our best players and competing at a high level. So that's what we did this week. And then obviously as we go into Monday, we're gonna put all our focus on Hampton.
And Coach, just speaking about Hampton, what really stands out off the page about this team?
Yeah, I mean, the region is tough because everybody kind of beat each other. It's a 9-team region, and there's no true, this team is by far the best. So, even though Hampton's the 4, they easily could have been the 2. And, they're really physical up front on the defensive line, and they have, I feel like, 2 really, really, at least 2 really, really talented players. Their safety, number 1, and then their receiver also plays some corner, number 4. They're both really, really talented players who are good enough to beat you. And then obviously, they have a really good running game too. So I feel like they're a really talented team who obviously we're going to need to bring our best to beat. And, they're well coached. So we're looking forward to it, but we just got to match their physicality, I think. And, the team who makes the least mistakes is going to come away with the win.
Well, Coach May, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Congrats on the region title, and best of luck in the playoffs.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, we'll be back. We got 2 more hours left. Join us on the other side. We'll see you then.
Customer service is everything in our industry, and one thing our clients love is when they call Breda, they get a live representative. At Breda, you get the attention you need and deserve right when you call in. Your appointment gets scheduled right then and there, and you get a specific time, no window of arrival. Our staff are your neighbors. They know what's going on in your community, and they're invested in doing it better.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me, can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands and improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia's Rome is the place to be this holiday season. Visit our vibrant downtown. Enjoy live concerts. Go ice skating. Shop holiday markets. And book a Christmas trolley tour. Make your weekend getaway one to remember. Plan your fun now at roamgeorgia.org.
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
Georgia's Rome is the place to be this holiday season. Visit our vibrant downtown. Enjoy live concerts. Go ice skating. Shop holiday markets. And book a Christmas trolley tour. Make your weekend getaway one to remember. Plan your fun now at roamgeorgia.org.
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
The GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com Drive for the GHSA state title is sponsored by R.S. Andrews. Story after story, we deliver smiles. Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move. Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters. And by the Georgia Army National Guard. Live here, serve here, work here.
Welcome back to the GHSA Drive for the State Title Bracket Show. Hayden, now we're going to look at this 3A bracket. I just want to ask, who are some of the quarterbacks that you've seen that have been impressive this season?
I mean, one I think you have to look at is Alex Schliemann out of North Hall. Led the classification in the entire state in passing, actually. Split times with Smith McGarvey last year. Smith had a shoulder injury in the offseason. Kind of has limited him. He's played more of a kind of a do-it-all role. Some quarterbacks, some wide receivers, some tight end. But Alex just came in this year. They have a really good set of wide receivers, but has just set the world on fire. Threw for 2,700 yards in the regular season. I've been really impressed with him this season.
Rusty, let's start with the top left quadrant of this bracket. So here you're going to see this Jefferson team. We got to see them play earlier this season against North Oconee, and they've actually struggled with a little bit of injury with Max Brown, one of their linebackers, but they're 5-0 in region play. How competitive do you see them being going into the playoffs?
It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, obviously we did the game against North Oconee, and Max Brown goes down the very first play offensively, and he's been out for the year. So that was a tough loss. Again, like when you look at Kamari Brooks, North Oconee, I feel like Jefferson lost their best player on offense and their best player on defense. But Coach Nolan and those guys have really rallied up. They got a great coaching staff, got a bunch of hard-nosed kids there, and Jefferson being the one seed in this doesn't surprise me at all. You look at Troop, this is a team full of speed. They always do. Coach Glisson has a group. They always want to be fast-paced offense. Cairo is a team I don't know a ton about. Typically, those South Georgia teams like that, very tough. You know they're going to be hard-nosed. So we look at those teams, but, you know, I look at Troop. I know what they've got. But you look at Jefferson, I've seen them firsthand. I did their state championship game last year. We got a chance to see them this year against North Oconee. They're going to be a physical football team, and that's always a trait of Coach Travis Nolan.
And then, Hayden, when you look at the bottom left side of this quadrant, you're going to see this Peach County team, and Jefferson could potentially see Peach County in the semifinals. How do you think this matchup might play out?
I mean, Peach County is so physical. Their offensive line led by Hunter Hill, 2028. He's going to end up being a 4-star caliber guy, really high-end offensive lineman. They're just so physical, and they're so well coached. Coach Westbrook is the coach that led Warner Robins to those 2 state titles, something like 5 straight finals appearances. Whenever you see them play, they're so fundamental. Everything they do is done right. You're not going to beat Peach County by winning off their mistakes. You have to just beat them outright. And that's really hard to do, especially this 3A classification when a lot of times they're more talented than you are.
And then, Jack, let's look at the top right side. So here you're going to see this Sandy Creek team. They have running back Amari Latimer. How excited are you to see this team in the playoffs?
Yeah, Amari Latimer has probably been my favorite player in the state to watch this year. That game against Whitewater, almost 300 yards on the ground in 7 touchdowns. That alone is going to make the Sandy Creek team a tough out. Amari Latimer committed to Wisconsin right now. I think that's going to be a fun recruitment to follow from here until signing day. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. I'm very excited to watch this Sandy Creek team, and I see them making a deep run in this portion of the bracket.
And then, Rusty, let's look at the bottom right side. Here you're going to see Stevenson and LaGrange. Just talk to me about what you've seen from these programs.
Well, I want to touch a little bit on that top right corner, too, because I do believe Jack's right there. Sandy Creek is they're the heavy favorite. Let's don't beat around the bush with this. This is a team that's loaded. They're the heavy favorite. I think everybody would agree with that. You look at Amari Latimer, committed to Wisconsin, but Ohio State, Tennessee, both schools have had him on campus recently. Not sure he's going to end up with this class at Wisconsin. Calhoun played in the state championship last year. One of those places where if you have to go in Northwest Georgia, there's not a more intimidating place than Calhoun. They don't have a track. I remember going to the state semifinals one year, and I watched a team take a tape measure and tape from the sideline to the bleachers and say, there's no way this is legal. That tells you how much they're on top of you at Calhoun. So whoever goes there are going to have their hands full. But you look in the bottom right corner, look at LaGrange, Coach Napier's team. This is a team that made a deep, deep run last year. I believe they got to the semifinals. We got a chance to see them earlier this year. Very impressed with them. Physical football team. I know they'll be making a run. Stevenson, always a team with athletes. They got better as the year went on. North Hall's a team. Here's a team 10-0. And you look at them, and Hayden's been on them for a while. I don't know a ton about them, but anytime you go 10-0 and you got a quarterback like this is a team I'm very, very interested in. And this will be one of those deals where you get a coin toss. Who has to go to a place like North Hall? What type of environment do they create? This is a team kind of flying under the radar. You're on the right side of the bracket, potentially with either Sandy Creek, to me, or Calhoun. You look at those teams and who can come out there. So you look at North Hall kind of flying under the radar right now with those two teams up top.
Yeah, I think when you look at North Hall, you talk about Calhoun. North Hall is just as tough to play. 5 feet. That is from the fence to the sideline. There is no room to play. It's hot. The Brickyard. I don't think they've ever lost a home playoff game. It is nearly impossible to go up there and win. I've played there. I've gone up there since I was a kid. This team, Cole Cable, Ty Kemp, out wide receiver, Alex Schliemann at quarterback. They're going to be really tough to stop offensively. The defense has some holes, but God, they're going to be a ton of fun to watch. They may not be a true state title contender, but you don't want to see them early in the playoffs.
And Rusty, we have our Georgia Elite Classic event coming up December 26th, 27th, and 28th. We're back in Rome this year. Just talk to me about what players can expect at this event.
You look at that picture, man. That says it all. It doesn't matter where. I say it every year. It doesn't matter where you're from. I don't care if you're from Single A, Public. I don't care if you're from Buford. I don't care if you're from Grayson, Valdosta. I don't care if you're from Pepperell. Shout out to my boys in Lindale. It doesn't matter where you're from. That picture right there sums it up. Those kids have a group text message. I'll never forget the team Sammy Brown played on, the 2024 kids that are freshmen. They still have a team group chat right now, all these years later. They stay in contact, and that's what it's about. It's almost like a bowl game, guys. You come to Rome, you're going to go, you're going to be treated. They're going to take care of you up there. We're going to do some special events this year. I'm not going to announce it yet. You're going to do some events at night, but you get a chance and you get an opportunity to compete. I say this every time. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you're ranked. I don't care who you are. I always use the example of Michael Williams. Michael Williams, who wound up being a first rounder for the San Francisco 49ers. He called me up when he was a junior in high school and said, hey, I want to come play. I said, Michael, man, you got 40 offers. You don't have to do this. You've created your own, perception. He goes, Rusty, I want to compete. I want to come play. I want to come meet kids. That's what it's about. You look at a kid like you mentioned, Craig Danders, while ago from Cambridge. He comes to this game last year, had 1 or 2 offers. He goes off in the game, 3 touchdowns. And I'm telling you right now, this game changed his entire recruitment. He winds up committing to Georgia later on that year. And you look at this player right here, my man Charlie Baxter. Just talked to him this week. This was the last play of the game, no time on the clock, and you see this. I mean, it gets like 1 million views. That play went viral all over the place. So that was the 8th grade game last year. You look at the excitement for those kids. A lot of those kids will be back. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to speak directly in this camera for those seniors. This is the first time any group has faced this. The class of 2026. The month of December is a dead period. There's not going to be college coaches in your schools. You're not going to be able to show them how much bigger you have grown. You're not going to be able to sit down face to face with them. That's not my decision, but I'm telling you that's something you're going to face that nobody else has. What we can offer you is a great opportunity. If you come play in this senior game, we're going to put you on Atlanta News First. We're going to put you on all of our apps. all the platforms. We can broadcast you the entire country. There's not much going on that day around the country. This senior game, to me, is the most important senior game we've ever done at Georgia Elite Classic. We got a bunch of people calling, trying to get in, but you see that barcode right there. You have got to fill out the nomination form. You can't just text me. You can't just text a coach. There is a process. You fill out the nomination form. We will go through the tape and we'll make the picks. But I promise you right now, we have never had a senior game that's more important, because signing day will be December the 3rd. A lot of you will still be left, and there will be a second signing day. So this is a great opportunity to go out and put yourself in front of all these college coaches. Because I promise you, everybody, every coaching staff, I don't care if it's Georgia, I don't care if it's Troy, I don't care if it's Texas San Antonio, every level, they're going to watch this tape and look for kids they can find, those kind of late bloomers, and it goes to all levels. So I promise you this right now. Fill out the nomination form. I promise you this is an unbelievable opportunity, and no class has ever faced a dead period the entire month of December. I cannot wait to have you guys there, and I'm personally going to make sure we give as much exposure to this senior class as we can.
Well, Rusty Manziel, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate having you on set. Now we're going to look at each classification and make our championship predictions, guys. Some of these classifications for me were very easy, others a little bit more difficult. I'm going to start off with this 6A classification. I'm taking Grayson for the win. I feel like this program is just so dominant. They have a lot of great players, some of the good storylines this year. That actually quarterback Deuce Smith, their backup, has been able to step up, play a huge role this season. I'm going to take Grayson for the win in 6A. In 5A, I have Thomas County Central. We talk about how dominant they are, not just on offense, but on defense. They've been able to put up so many points offensively, but also they've had so many shutouts this season. Super excited to see what they are going to be able to do. In 4A, I am taking Creekside for this win. We've got to talk so much this season about quarterback Caden Benson. He's been able to do a lot for their offense. And Jack, I believe we talked about this earlier, but I think they have the record for putting up the most points offensively in Georgia this season, which has been super incredible to see with this Creekside team. Craig and I talked about it earlier as well. Just this whole mentality surrounding this program. I feel like it's a group of humble athletes. Super excited to see what they're going to be able to do. In 3A, I am taking Peach County. They have a great O-line. Their coach has won 2 state titles. Super excited to see what they're going to be able to do. In 2A, I'm taking Carver Columbus for the win. Here you have head coach Jarvis Jones. Actually, he came from the University of Georgia. So coming from a program like UGA and being able to implement some of those tactics in a high school program, I think that they definitely have what it takes to secure this state title. In D1, I'm taking Worth. They're the top-ranked team in this classification. They're known for how explosive their offense is. Their defense has also played great this season. Super excited to see what they can do. In D2, I'm taking Clinch County. Here, simply based off of the production of athletes that they have been able to have. You mentioned at the University of Georgia, they have players like wide receiver Jeremy Bell, who came from Clinch County. Clinch County is undefeated this season. I'm taking them for the win. And lastly, in our private classification, Hebron Christian, they have been dominant all season. I believe that they have a great head coach. All of their games have been incredible. Just watching what they've been able to do on both sides of the ball, I'm taking Hebron Christian for the win. And now, Hayden, I'm going to toss it to you.
So going back to 6A, I picked Grayson. I mean, I really feel like they're just the most complete team. I don't feel like they have any holes. Deuce Smith is playing really well as a first-year starter. Jack, what made you pick your team?
I picked Buford. Initially, when I saw everyone picked Grayson, and I said, I'm not going to do that. But I also believe in this Buford team. I think Dayton Raiola, younger brother of Dylan, I am in the camp that when you have 2 highly touted athletes that are brothers, I think the younger brother being the understudy, being the underdog even at times, being able to develop, learn from that older brother, I think Dayton has grown a lot. And I think Buford is dangerous in this 6A classification.
And then Max, Jordan, talk me through your picks real quick.
I'm going to be picking Buford to win the 2025 GHSA 6A title. They've been steady from week 1 to now, clean execution, strong coaching, and the same level of focus every Friday night. You see it in how they start games, how they adjust, and how they finish. In big moments, Buford looks calm, the offense spreads the ball, stays on schedule, and finishes drives. The defense sets the tone early, wins the line of scrimmage, and all of it. Put that all together to me, and I see them taking the 6A championship.
Yeah, for me, I just feel like Grayson has just been, they haven't skipped a beat since Burgess' injury, going from that transition from Burgess to Deuce Smith as well. And then you have Tyler Atkinson heading up that defense, along with the great linebacking core with Anthony Davis as well. I just don't see anyone taking them head on.
And now, Hayden, I'm going to toss it to you for this 5A classification.
So I think we're all basically unanimous here. Thomas County Central's been really, really dominant. I'm excited to see them. I don't feel like they have any holes, very similar to Grayson. I'm excited to see how they play in this really tough 5A classification, but I think they're going to come out with the win.
Jack?
Obviously, all in agreement here. No holes on this Thomas County Central team. Dominant in all facets. I think they go all the way here.
Yeah, I mean, y'all have said it best. I mean, these guys are just a complete team, and they have been since the start of the season this year. No holes in their roster, and they continue to showcase that throughout the rest of the postseason.
And then, Hayden, who do you have taking the state title for this 4A classification?
I mean, I have, once again, Creekside. They're, as you said, they've been dominant offensively. They've been playing really well defensively. I just don't think there's any team that's going to be able to challenge them.
Jack?
I agree. Creekside, once again, kind of like Thomas County Central, no holes on this team. And game after game this year, they've showed up. I think they make a run to the title.
Yeah, and for me, I think Creekside also. Caden Benson has 29 passing touchdowns, 66.9 completion rate. He's been playing great. They have great game records at every level defensively, particularly up front. Yeah, I'm going to be picking Creekside.
Yeah, I'm also going to have to be picking Creekside. I know we all just sweep the board with Creekside there, but they have the best backfield, I think, in the state, with Caden Benson leading the charge at quarterback, going along with Cedric Kelly and Gary Walker as well. Those three guys that we saw in the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic exploded all over Rome, and their offense was incredible.
And then, Hayden, who do you have in 3A?
In 3A, I'm going to go with Sandy Creek. They're just the complete team.
Jack?
Sandy Creek, Amari Latimer taking it.
And Jordan and Max?
Yep, Amari Latimer as well. I don't see anyone being able to stop him this far in 3A.
2A?
I'm actually going to be going to Peach County. They've been playing great.
So my 2A pick, I went with Carver Columbus. They're playing just great football. I'm really excited to see what Jarvis Jones does.
Me and Craig in the same boat here, taking Morgan County to win the 2A title.
And then in D1?
In Class D1, I have the defending champions, Toombs County.
I'm with Hayden.
I have Worth County, actually.
Same here. Worth County, the Rams, they're undefeated on this season, and it seems like they'll stay that way the rest of the year.
And then D2?
I went with my boys down in Lincoln County.
I'm solo on this, but Screven County underdogs win it at all.
Bowden, 4-time state champs coming up in 2025.
I have Lincoln County for D2. They have a clean 10-0 regular season and 4 region wins. I think they got this.
And then lastly, private.
I think we're unanimously Hebron Christian. They're just been dominant all season.
Nothing more to say, Hayden. I agree.
Jarvis Matherin and Devin Caldwell, no one's stopping them either.
I'm also going with Hebron Christian to win private bracket.
We'll be right back after this short break to break down our 2A classification. Stay tuned. Welcome back for the drive for the GHSA state title bracket show. Now we're going to look at this 2A classification. Craig, I just want to start off by asking, who are some of the quarterbacks that have impressed you in this classification?
So we got a difference in the two I'm going to mention. So you have Davis Strickland from Morgan County. He brings the experience. Morgan County is extremely senior heavy. But then with Rockmart, you have Tucker Parson. He is a freshman that has been leading them this year. He's a coach's son. He's already 6'2", and this is a very talented Rockmart team.
Let's start off by looking at the top left side of this bracket here. Hayden, I'll start with you with this Carver Atlanta team. They're going to see Butler in the first round. How are you expecting this matchup to play off?
I mean, Carver Atlanta should come away with this win. Coach Miles has done an amazing job. This isn't his first year as head coach. He's been there forever. But 2 years ago, this team really struggled. Last year, they took a step forward. This year, they're a state title contender once again. This Carver Atlanta team is one of the best in the state. Their athlete favors is just their do-it-all guy, defense, offense, return game, just everything you could ask for. When you look at this Carver Atlanta team, they should compete for a state title. I'd love to see them make it all the way to the finals again. They were there just 3 years ago where they lost to Cedar Grove.
Yeah, and with this Carver Atlanta team, I feel like athletically they can certainly match up with anyone in the classification, but I've been impressed with their run game. They're averaging about 230 yards per game, and when you complement it with a defense that's as aggressive, that can shut down opponents, they're going to be able to control the time on the clock. They're going to be able to dictate their pace. They're playing with a ton of confidence this year, and they came out of a very tough region. They've got Hapeville Charter in there, Holy Innocents, Love it. So they are battle tested.
And then let's look at the bottom left side of this bracket. Here you're going to see this Morgan County team. We're actually going to get to hear from head coach Clint Jenkins a little bit later. But Craig, you mentioned their quarterback. What have you seen from their program this season?
Well, they are, in my opinion, the most experienced team in this bracket. You look at Carver Columbus, they've got a freshman quarterback, super talented, defending state champs, but this is, I don't want to say a make or break year for them because they've been steady, but this senior class is special. Last year they had a tough loss, I believe, in the quarterfinals to a great Rockmart team. It was a 49-42 game. But this year they have a huge margin of victory. They're getting it done on both sides of the ball, and this senior class is very special.
And then also staying here in this bottom left quadrant, here you're going to see Hart County is going to see Appling County in this first round. Hayden, talk to us about what you've seen from Hart County this season.
Hart County's been really up and down. At times they've played really well. They beat Prince Avenue Christian. I get that Prince Avenue Christian isn't playing up to their standards. It's still a really good and a really talented team. However, Appling County has finished the season really strong. They beat Pierce County. They won that region. I think Appling County is playing really good football under their first-year head coach, Coach Pruitt. I think that they should come away with this win. And, I mean, who knows what they can do. They've played so well down the stretch, they may be able to make a quarter or semifinals run.
And then, Craig, let's look in the top right side of this bracket. Here you're going to see Carver Columbus. What a dominant team. Actually, they have Coach Jarvis Jones. We got to talk about that a little bit earlier, but he came from the University of Georgia, been able to implement this winning mentality within this program. But what is this Carver Columbus team? How are they expected to look in the playoffs?
Defensively, they have a championship group for sure. And then offensively, they're young, but, man, when they get going explosively, they can light up the scoreboard. I feel like their quadrant's interesting. You got teams like Thompson that have gone under the radar this year, a great program. You have Callaway. Callaway's been exceptional this season. They are coming off that loss to Morgan County in the season finale, and that's really that Morgan County result over Callaway. That's what showed me this team is for real. I was kind of waiting for that matchup all season long. Davis Strickland, the quarterback, he's completing nearly 70% of his passes this season. So I feel like Callaway just ran into a juggernaut, but they're going to be dangerous. And then the bottom right side of the bracket, you can never count out Burke County, a team that made it to the finals last year, and then Rockmart in that bottom right as well. Rockmart is a team that lights up the scoreboard, and it has been in multiple state championships.
And then, Hayden, I want to look at the top right side of this bracket again here. You're going to see this Callaway team. What have you seen from them this season?
I mean, just what you always see from Callaway. They're so well coached. They're so fundamentally sound. When you put all that together with just this amazing culture that's at that program, they're always really tough to beat. The last few years, they haven't been maybe up to their standards once again. This is a team that's expecting to compete for state titles every year, to win region titles every year. They lost to a really good Morgan County team last week, but this is a team that very well could go out there and make a semifinals, finals, or even maybe win a championship.
And then Hayden, real quick, a team like Columbia, they ended up getting a number 7 seed, but this is a team that really challenges themselves early in the season. Do you feel like they're kind of playing their best ball right now?
I mean, who knows what Columbia is? When you look at Columbia, this is a team that started out 0-6, has won 4 straight games, won that region. That region isn't particularly tough, but their non-region schedule is really tough. They play teams like Cartersville, where they got blown out, but a 2A school probably should get blown out by Cartersville. Only 2 years ago, this team made a quarterfinals run. It's really hard to say what they are, but I mean, with the way they're playing right now, they very well could be a really good team.
And Craig, we'll start with you, but in this classification, what are some of the matchups in the first round you're most looking forward to seeing?
There's some interesting ones. So I think Cook and North Murray is an intriguing matchup. Cook is a number 25 seed, but they came out of a very tough region. They've had some hot and cold moments to the season. Hateville Charter, very talented. They played Carver Atlanta tough. They are a team that's a number 12 seed, but they can certainly make some noise. Miller Grove's had a great season this year. We already talked about Morgan County. I really like the Stevens County, Crisp County matchup as well.
And then Hayden, I'll extend the same question to you.
Yeah, I feel like for me, that Franklin County-Callaway game is really interesting. Franklin County, outside of a loss to Stevens County, that I feel like they don't really feel like that was their team. They had a lead. They just didn't play well down the stretch in that game. They would be 8-2 with their only losses being to Hebron Christian and Prince Avenue Christian. When you put that against a team like Callaway, whose only loss is to that, or their only region loss is to that Morgan County team, you get a really interesting matchup of teams that I think are better than what their records say they are.
And then in this top left side of the bracket, potentially in the quarters, you could see Carver Atlanta seeing Sumter. Craig, what would be key in getting that win?
Well, I mean, this is going to be a defensive game, I feel like. You look at Sumter County, that's the only team we've seen the last 2 seasons really challenge Carver Columbus. And that was a game they probably could have won. I think Carver Columbus had that late touchdown, 2-point conversion. They ended up winning 8-7. That was a game that really slipped away from them, but it still was a confidence booster. So they're going to be oozing with confidence, but Carver Atlanta, they've just had this quiet focus this season. They entered the year as a ranked top 10 team, but then to be able to earn the number 1 overall seed heading into the playoffs, I feel like the Panthers are ready to go.
And then Hayden, when you look at the bottom left, also in the quarters, you could potentially see a Morgan County, Hart County matchup. What would be key in getting this one?
I mean, for Morgan County, it's just play your kind of football. Davis Strickland is one of the best quarterbacks in this classification. He's a West Georgia commit, has all kinds of offers. If they just play their kind of football, they should easily be able to make it to the semifinals.
And then who have been some of the sleeper teams maybe in this classification?
I think Stevens County's flying under the radar. They lost Coach Tankersley really late in this cycle due to some of the craziness that happened in South Georgia with Appling County having to fire their coach late. But they've really come along strong in this season. They played in a really tough region. However, they've played really well. I think just like kind of last year when they made that quarterfinals run, they're kind of that under-the-radar team that very well could be right back there next year.
Yeah, and I definitely just feel like Class 2A is a little more open this season, but teams like Burke County, Thompson, you got Cook, Appling County's been playing better. I feel like there's a lot of teams, we mentioned Columbia, their start, that have really put pieces together late in the season, and also a team like Pierce County. You can never count them out.
Now we're going to welcome Morgan County football coach Clint Jenkins. Coach Jenkins, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, thank y'all for having me.
So, Coach, you're going to see Westside Macon in this first round of the playoffs. What are you focusing on before this matchup?
Westside's in our region. We've already played one time this year. They're really athletic, big up front, well coached. So, they're a team that we know and know well. We're focused. We're focused on the things that, maybe we didn't do as well in the last game, and we're just locked in on Westside. We know what a challenge they are. So.
And Coach, you just had a perfect regular season. What has impressed you most with your team offensively this season?
You start with Davis Strickland and what he's done, but, Ty Tiller has done a great job at receiver, and can't say enough about Christian Mumford at running back. He's going to break his school record again. So, all starts with our offense. Got into senior class, and this crowd, they've been playing since they were sophomores. They hadn't been on anything less than a 10-win team, and they're hungry. So.
And Coach, I want to ask you about that Callaway game. Last season, you guys went into that matchup undefeated. Callaway got the victory. This year, you got a great result in that game. How meaningful was that?
Oh, that was a huge win over a great program. Coach Wiggins does a great job over there. They traditionally a really good program. And again, went over there, didn't really talk about a revenge game or anything like that, but our kids felt like we get a chance to kind of replay this, and you kind of get to rewrite your story. So obviously getting that number 1 seed and setting you up in the bracket is the most important thing. But Callaway's a great program. That was a huge win for us. So.
Then, Coach, you were talking about this senior class. We'll get to them later, but who are some of the young guys that have stepped up for you guys this year?
Oh, we've had several. Again, go back to where it starts. Drew Breda on the offensive line, Harrison Mitchell on the offensive line, Raj Singh on the defensive line, and we've got some young guys in there that have done a really good job. But we're really excited about this football team. So we're just one step at a time right now.
And Coach, we talked about how dominant your offense was, but the same thing could be said about your defense, clearly having a great defensive season. What has impressed you most with their performances?
I think our defense has played really well. I think our front, again, it has played extremely well. We're better on the perimeter and probably better in the secondary than we were last year. Those were, areas of improvement going in, and our secondary obviously came up big with the 4 picks last week, and we had 3 guys in the secondary that played a lot and are in that senior class, and just probably improving there. But our defense, our defensive front is really good with Brody Jenkins at linebacker and Jordan Gordon, and we've got a lot of good players.
And Coach, I want to ask you about your running back, Christian Monfort. He has had multiple touchdowns in every single game this season, providing a ton of consistency. I think you mentioned a record that he's already set for you guys. Tons of yards, 31 touchdowns. Just put in perspective what he's done this year.
Oh, Christian's been, he's been unbelievable. He set the school record, the rushing record. We've had a couple of backs. Jay Dorsey actually set the school record a couple of years ago, and then Christian broke it last year, and now he's going to have a chance to break his own record again. So we've been fortunate to have some really good running backs, and Christian's just he has been the running game for us. So and nothing for him to tote it 25, 30 times a game, and he wants it more. So. Just really proud of him.
And Coach, earlier you mentioned Ty Tillery. Just talk to me a little bit about that senior leadership you've seen from him and his offensive performance this season.
Yeah, Ty's been great this year. Ty's a guy that, on a 50-50 ball, he's going to go get it. He just made some unbelievable catches this year, and again, you get him in a one-on-one situation, he's going to go get the football. It's been a lot of fun to watch Ty this year. And he's been another guy that's kind of been forced into the defense, plays safety for us also, and has done a really good job on that side of the ball for us also.
And then, Coach, you'll be playing Westside-Macon again. You guys beat them back in September, 56-14. It's kind of a unique situation playing a regular season opponent in the first round from your own region. What's that like, just playing a familiar team?
It's good in a way as far as the prep. We have the first game, as I mentioned earlier, to go back and look at. Kind of look at, kind of how they schemed us up and some of those things. But, it'll be a different matchup, obviously. Don't love playing people from your region this early, but, it's kind of one of those deals. The way the ranking system lined up, that was who it was. So they're athletic and they can do some things, and they moved the ball on us some, in that game before, and I know, playoffs, there's no tomorrow, so they'll, Coach Spoon will have them. He'll have them ready. So.
And Coach, I mentioned your team having a perfect season, going 10-0. How do you implement this winning mentality within your program, but also help your players not get complacent?
I think that's always the challenge. When we got to Morgan, we weren't very good, and it's been a climb up. So we've been able to, we've been able to reap a little bit sooner than what we thought. But again, credit our kids, credit our coaches, for sticking to the template, and our guys just bought in, and we've gotten a little better every year, but it was a climb. As far as complacency, you just got to be careful. You got to remember what got you there, and that's what we try to do. The hard work in the weight room, the off season stuff, all the stuff that nobody wants to do. Those are the things that we keep them focused on, and again, our kids have done a great job with it.
And Coach, you also mentioned Jordan Gordon, but just talk to me a little bit about what this linebacker brings to your program.
Jordan's a guy that he's hard to block. He's a little unconventional. He just he can fill windows. He can slip around blockers. He does a good job running stuff down from behind. He's really hard to block, and he's a good tackler. And he's probably one of the strongest kids on our team, pound for pound. So we actually use him as a nose in our nickel package some, and he's a guy that can step down and do that. So he's another one that just does a really good job for us, what we ask him to do. So.
And then, Coach, when was a moment this season where you really kind of saw firsthand that this team is special and can make a big run at this title?
I think probably the Oconee County game, because we knew what kind of team Oconee had, and to be able to go over there and beat them in Watkinsville, and that was a big win for us, and we felt like we kind of knew coming into the season that we'd have a chance. We got a lot of kids back from the quarterfinals team, but you just see streaks of, man, this group could be special. So, but again, we don't want to we don't want to focus on that a whole lot. We want to focus on West Side and trying to, you don't want to pat them on the behind too much. We still got a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of really good teams in AA. So
again, that was Morgan County football coach Clint Jenkins. Coach Jenkins, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and good luck in the playoffs.
Thank y'all for having us. Go Dogs.
We'll be right back after this short break with more of the drive for the GHSA State Title Bracket Show. Stay tuned.
Man, you know how to do this?
Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
for a healthier future together. Look to Northside Hospital.
The GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com Drive for the GHSA state title is sponsored by Army ROTC. Be all you can be with Army ROTC. The Georgia Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors Association. CareersInSheetMetal.com. Building a solid future. The Georgia Elite Classic, Georgia's largest all-star games. And by the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office. Serve and protect through dedication, professionalism, and active cooperation with the community.
Welcome back to the Drive for the GHSA State Title Bracket Show. Now we're going to look at this Class A Division I bracket. Starting with the top left side of this bracket here, Hayden, you're going to see Heard County and Ace Charter. Just talk to me about what you've seen from both of these programs this season.
Heard County's been playing really good football. This is a program that a few years ago was not a particularly good program. Now, all of a sudden, the past 2 years, they've really built up this team. So when you put all that together, you now have a team that's going to be competing for a state title. They're the 1 seed for a reason. They beat Bowden, one of the top teams in Class A Division II. I'm really excited to see what they could do. Ace Charter is a team that's grown a little bit over the years. I don't think they've had the championship or the season they've wanted to have, but they're still a really dangerous team.
And then, Jack, also just to extend the same question to you, when you look at the top left side of this bracket, who are some of the teams you're excited to watch?
Yeah, well, you guys just talked about Ace Charter. Right here, they play Fitzgerald in round 1. Fitzgerald, that's Region 7. That's a loaded region. Worth County, who's undefeated in the top right of this bracket. And then Thomasville, who is 4-2 in this region and took a close loss to Fitzgerald earlier in the year. They've good strength of schedule in that part of the bracket. So Fitzgerald and Ace Charter, that is a fantastic round 1 matchup.
And then now let's look at the bottom left side of this bracket. Here you're going to see Swainsboro. They have Jabaiah Smith, clearly been able to be very dominant on this team this season. Hayden, what are you expecting out of this Swainsboro team going into the playoffs?
I mean, this is a really good football team. This is a team that, outside of their 2 losses to Savannah Christian and Toombs County, has played really good all season. That Savannah Christian team is one of the better teams in the private classification. Toombs County is one of the favorites in this classification. This is a team that only a few years ago was competing for state titles. Last year was a little bit of a down year, but I think this year they're right back up there as one of the top teams in the class.
Now let's look at the top right side of this bracket. Jordan, I want to ask about this Worth County matchup. What are you expecting out of this team?
Yeah, I've been working really closely actually this season with Jeff Hammond, and he's been telling me a lot of amazing stuff about this team. The Rams have shown every week why they're 10-0, and it's not just wins, it's back-to-back region titles from 2024 and 2025. They've had multiple shutouts this season, a great scoring profile, and they have around 40 points scored on each opponent they play, with them only scoring about barely a dozen. I think they're going to do great this season, and especially for the playoffs.
And then before we get into this D2 bracket, I want to look at the bottom right side here. Hayden, I want to ask about Dodge County. What are you expecting to see out of this team?
I mean, Dodge County they've played good football throughout the season, playing a really tough, one of the tougher regions in the state. They have a really, really tough round 1 matchup with this Raymond County team. This Raymond County team is another team that's playing in a tough region. I think that's going to be a really fun round 1 game.
And then, Hayden, just to go back to that bottom left side again, here you're going to see Swainsboro and Toombs County have the potential of seeing each other in the quarters. What would it take for Swainsboro to get that win over Toombs County?
I mean, I think they can come away with that win. I think Toombs County is low. That's a team that's really going to compete for a championship. But I think it's really hard to be a good team twice.
Now we're going to look at this Division II bracket. Starting with this top left side, you're going to see ECI. I want to start with this team. Hayden, talk to me about what you've seen from them.
I mean, this is a team that has played really good football. At times, early in the season, they were a little inconsistent, but down the stretch, this is a team that has played really well. They dominated a good Metter team down the stretch. I think this is a team that you really have to be afraid of going into the playoffs.
And then I also want to ask about Clinch County. I mentioned them earlier. They're 10-0 this season. You just talk about that athlete production that this school produces. How are you expecting them to do?
I mean, this is a team in that region down there is the toughest region in the state. That's the region that for years was producing the state championship year after year. I think 4 straight years a team out of this region won the state championship. Last year, or the last few years have been a little different. Bowden has dominated the classification as a whole. But if you come out of that region, especially undefeated, you're one of the best teams in the state.
And then, Jack, let's take a look at that bottom left. Here you're going to see Bowden. What are you expecting out of this team?
Yeah, well, this portion of the bracket is going to be pure entertainment. There are 5 undefeated teams in this bracket. That's more than any other classification in Georgia. However, none of them reside in this bottom left portion of the bracket. So Bowdoin, it's a favorable draw for them. However, Wilcox County in the first round, they're 4-2 in the region, and their only 2 losses are to Clinch County and Wheeler County, who are also undefeated. And then at the very bottom here, Schley County, they're also going to be a tough out. They're also only losing to good teams. So no undefeated teams down here, but very good round 1 matchups, and then perhaps a Bowdoin and a Schley County to make the Final Four. That'll be a fantastic game if we get there.
Now let's take a look at this top right side of the bracket. Hayden, here you're going to see Early County and Greene County in the first round. What are you expecting out of this matchup?
I mean, Early County should win this game. Early County's been playing really well. Jermaine Jones, one of those underrated athletes in the state, 6'4", 220 pounds, edge rusher, tight end, does it all for this team. He's just a rare athlete for this classification. He's a difference maker. He's one of the major reasons that they've been this successful this season.
Now let's look at the bottom left side here. You're going to see Brooks County is going to face off with Taylor County in that first round, and then you're going to have Lincoln County facing Randolph Clay. Talk about both of these matchups.
I mean, Brooks County is maybe the most talented team in this classification. Brooks County has, in years past, been one of the top teams in the class. This year, they're right there, but they've just struggled offensively, which is really shocking considering that they have a ton of talent on that side of the ball. However, they're super dangerous. If they find that offense at any point in these playoffs, they could make a run to the championship and win this championship. Lincoln County has been the most consistent team all season long. They're undefeated for a reason. Coach Chomsticks down there has done an amazing job rebuilding this program. This program has 11 state titles for a reason. That's third among all schools in the state. This is a team that really has not struggled like they have in the past decade ever. I mean, and their struggles are not winning championships. But I think this is a team that can finally get over that hump for the first time since, I believe, 2006.
And then, Jack, I'll start with you, but who are some of the sleeper teams that you might have your eyes on in this classification?
I think Schley County down here in the bottom left has a good chance to make a deep run. Good teams in the bottom portion of the bottom left bracket here, but Bowdoin, Seminole County, all these teams have to lose at some point, so I think Schley County has a good chance to make the quarters, semis, maybe the Final Four.
And then, Hayden, same thing for you. Who are some of the sleeper teams you have your eyes on?
I mean, if we're going on sleeper teams, I think of that Brooks County team. I have them ranked low in the top 10 because of how they played offensively. But calling them a sleeper team is a little dubious just because of how talented they are. But I think another team is a team like Hawkinsville, who had a really good start to the season, fell out of my rankings, but is still a really good team, a really talented team that maybe could make a run.
And then, Jack, in this first round, what are some of the most exciting matchups that you're going to be looking forward to watching?
I think Bowdoin and Wilcox County, obviously Bowdoin has Caden Prothrow playing through a little bit of an injury, but still dominating. And then Wilcox County, 7-3, 4-2 in the region. It doesn't jump off the page, but those losses to Clinch and Wheeler County, those are your only 2 region losses, and those are very good teams. So this Wilcox County team is still very good, and that's Bowdoin maybe the favorite to win the state championship in this portion, in this classification. But first round, tough game for Bowdoin.
And then, Hayden, going off of what Jack said, with this Bowdoin team, they do have tight end Caden Prothrow, Georgia commit. What does he bring to this program?
I mean, he's just a rare athlete, 6'6", 230 pounds. He's going to probably be up close to 250, 260 by the time he gets out. However, he's not really a tight end. He's that guy that can go in there and play inline tight end, but it can also go out wide and play true wide receiver, which is a really rare skill set. It's going to be really interesting to see how he develops. We've seen players like Caleb Odom not develop as that kind of archetype, but I think he's going to at the University of Georgia.
Now we're going to welcome Seminole County football coach Cedric Segal. Coach Segal, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me tonight.
So, Coach, clearly this week you have a bye week, but next week in the first round you'll face Washington Wilkes. What's going to be key in securing this win?
The key to this victory right here, we're going to go against Washington Wilkes this week, is going to be not turning the ball over, try to eliminate their big plays and playing fundamental sound football on offense and defense and special teams as well.
And then just talk about what receiver Kamari Smith brings to your program.
Kamari Smith has done a great job for us, filling in for Kamari Johnson. Kamari Smith, been running the ball well. I think he's averaging like 3 touchdowns a game, over 150-yard rush in each game. So he's one of our explosive players on our team right now.
Then, Coach, I wanted to ask about one of your star linebackers, Zachary Henderson. Really, well, not just star linebackers, also plays wide receiver and tight end for y'all. Just talk to me about his impact on this team.
Zachary brings a great leadership to our team, something that we've been missing over the last couple of years. He's the one that makes everything work offensively and defensively. But on defense, he gets everybody lined up and brings the energy and plays hard week in and week out.
And then, Coach, I want to talk about your ability to build up this program and y'all's growth over the past few years. I remember a few years back, this was not an amazing program, but over the past 2-3 years, y'all have really gotten to a point where y'all are competing at the highest point in this classification. Just talk to me about that.
Well, it started in the weight room in the off season. We do early morning workouts throughout the summer, throughout the summer in the morning time. And the kids do a great job buying in, showing up every morning, working out and competing against each other. And it's been the next man up rule since I've been there. And a lot of kids been standing to that principle. Somebody go down, the next person got to stand up and make an impact on the team.
And Coach, can you answer for me, how have your team leaders set the tone for preparing for the playoffs?
Oh, he just gets everybody fired up. They do they spend a lot of time outside of football, just talking to each other, talking about football, just everyday things, class work, community, stuff. And it carries over to the field, and they've been able to trust each other.
Yeah, and where have you seen the most growth from your team this season, in regular season, going into playoffs? Just talk to me about that.
Well, our kids grew up a lot. We only have 3 kids on our team right now that have playoff experience. And the games that we played at the beginning of the season allowed them to get more game plan experience. And it does showed up now to where they're more comfortable with what we're doing and they're excited about playing football.
And Coach, your team only saw 1 loss this season to that Early County team, but what can you learn through losses like that?
Early County taught us something. It taught us, that, we just 1 week at a time, 1 game at a time. It's a tough opponent, we let one slip up on us and we just, every day at practice, we're not going to allow that to happen again. Just keep competing week in and week out.
And then, Coach, just talk to me about some of that senior class leadership you've been able to see this season.
One thing they do is, they sometimes they start the practice before we even get out there sometimes, and which is a great thing. They go ahead and start the drills, and when we show up, they follow in suit with what we got planned for the day. And just a good group of guys to coach this year.
And then, Coach, I want to talk about how your team responded to that loss. Y'all, it felt like that after that loss, y'all really came on strong, especially offensively, and really just gelled as a team. Talk to me about that.
The kids start, buying into that, is more than one person on this team that can make us win. It's going to take everybody to help us win. And there's no jealousy. One person, will take the backseat to the next person. And it's been exciting to see them, encourage each other to do good week in and week out. And that was able to, help us sustain our momentum going through the season.
And Coach, what is the goal for you guys this week when getting ready for this matchup next Friday?
Our goals for this week was, just stay focused, heal up, it was an open week, of course, heal up and stay focused and try to, go out and compete at a high level next week against Washington Wilkes, eliminate turnovers and eliminate explosive plays. And I think that'll take care of itself next week.
And then how has the community support for you guys impacted the team this year on the field?
The community has been really, really excited about this season because it's been a long time. I think this is the second best record they had in school history in the regular season. And they've been getting fired up about football. It's just like the old days now. Everybody comes out and show the support to this team and these kids.
And then, Coach, offensively, Ellis Denham has had 16 touchdown passes this season. Talk to me about what you've seen from him.
Well, Ellis Denham matured a lot. He's a 3-year starter. He does a great job of managing the offense, getting everybody lined up, getting the right play calls. He had 16 touchdowns, only 1 interception this year, and that's a great job for him. So the game has slowed down to him a lot, and he's been doing a great job for us.
Then, Coach, I want to talk about y'all's pass rush. It feels like every play there's a guy in the backfield. There's a guy making a tackle for loss on rushing plays. Just talk to me about that real quick.
Well, we run a 3-3 stack defense, and it brings a lot. We do a lot of blitzing or whatever, but a lot of our kids, enjoy just flying around making plays. And it seems like, we got somebody blitzing every play, and it brings a little bit more excitement to the defense. And Seminole County is known for playing defense, and the kids just, they go out and play just really, really hard.
And then, Coach, I mentioned you only having seen one loss this season. Talk to me about how you implement this winning mentality within your program.
We just do it through hard work and dedication. Just keep preaching and practicing what you preach every day. We preach hard work and discipline, and I think it just carries over. It gets contagious.
And then, Coach, I wanted to ask about y'all's offensive line. It feels like, especially for a smaller school, y'all's offensive line has been extremely stout. It's not been a lot of these smaller schools. There's some weak links. It doesn't really feel like y'all have anybody on that offensive line that isn't playing well right now. Just talk to me about that.
But the offensive line is doing pretty good. I mean, they're doing a lot better than I thought they were going to do. We got 2 returning starters from last year, and we got 3 new starters. And those 3 new starters, starting off with Nick Gilbert at the center spot, they've been doing a great job of snapping that ball, getting our blocking scheme correct. And it's been exciting to see and watch them grow over the last couple of weeks from where they started out to where they're at now.
And Coach, where have you seen your O-line and D-line take bigger steps in growing in preparation and practices, getting ready for playoffs?
Offensive line, defensive line, they compete against each other at practice very well, and it shows in the game. Those guys, just enjoy, complimenting each other. When they do good, they go back and, pep them up, and when they do bad, they pep each other up. So it's been exciting to see how much they've done grown and compete against each other, and it carries over in the game.
And then, Coach, one last question. Just how have y'all used this odd bye week that we're not normally getting before the playoffs to get ready for this big playoff matchup?
Well, it's odd, but it's really not odd to us because we done had 3 bye weeks this year. So it's just another bye week for us, and it allowed us to get healthy a little bit and, watch a little bit extra and watch a little bit more film on Washington Wooks and get familiar with them. And, hopefully when we hit the ground running on Sunday, we'll be ready to rock and roll for the game on Friday.
Again, that was Seminole County football coach Cedric Segal. Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
All right, thank you for having me.
We'll be right back after this short break to look at our private classification. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the drive for the GHSA state title bracket show. Now we're going to look at this private classification, but guys, I want to ask, when you look at this bracket, you're going to see that a lot of these teams are going to see a bye week in that first round. Just talk to me about what this bye week is there for.
Yeah, I think we talked to head coach Kenny Dallas. He said he's been coaching for 30 years. He's never had back-to-back bye weeks. This will be the second time he's had it this year. So the teams are getting used to it, but I feel like in the private schools, when you have these smaller rosters, they don't have 100 deep. It's really valuable to be able to just rest, get that recovery, get that treatment, and get geared up and ready to go.
Yeah, I think when you look at what this does, especially for some of these smaller schools, because there's a large range of schools. Some of these are 200-300 person schools. Some of these are 400 or 500 person schools. That it kind of levels the playing field when you don't have to. You're not playing teams that have a lot more depth than you because now you're finally getting healthy.
And then, guys, we're going to start in the top left side of this bracket here. Let's talk about this Fellowship Christian team and this Savannah Christian team. They're both going to have that bye week in the first round, but what have you seen from both of these programs this season? We'll start with you, Craig.
Yeah, Fellowship Christian has been, in my opinion, the second most dominant team. They've had one bad game. That was the game against Hebron Christian, where they got outplayed pretty much in every phase. But since then, they've been dominant. They run the ball extremely well. They're well coached. They're a team that has made it to the semifinals. They're going to be very confident in this bracket and these matchups, and they should be able to advance very far.
Yeah, I think when you look at Savannah Christian, for me, Savannah Christian is a team that is always hard to beat because of the type of offense they run and their offensive line. They run that triple option really well, and if you're not ready for it, you can lose. Any team can lose that Savannah Christian team.
And then, Max, when you look at the top left side of this bracket, what teams do you have your eyes on?
Well, obviously, Fellowship is a team hard not to have your eyes on. The past 7 seasons, this team has won 7 region titles and have been to 7 straight either semifinal or quarterfinal games. In their 3rd season under John Thompson, this team has been rolling so far this season.
Now let's look at the bottom left side of this bracket. Here, Craig, I want to ask about this Whitfield Academy team. Just what do they bring to the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm going to borrow a phrase from Hayden. Mason Hollingsworth has put ungodly numbers up this season. We saw him earlier this year, 426 yards in the win over, I believe that was St. Anne Pacelli. He has 29 touchdowns this season, closing in on 2,000 yards. So he's really been the reason Whitfield Academy has had one of their better seasons in school history, and he will benefit from that extra week off, that bye week, heading into the playoffs. He's so dangerous, and really that team revolves around him.
And then, Hayden, also, when you look at the bottom left side of this bracket, what teams do you have your eyes on?
I mean, you always have to be afraid of Calvary Day. Calvary Day is one of those teams that always has weapons. Right now, they have 2 really good athletes. They're both projected to be cornerbacks, but Emerson Lewis and Brexton Bell are just amazing athletes. They play both sides of the ball. If you don't fear them, you should.
Yeah, and James Mobley, the quarterback, he's been great. I feel like an underrated team in that bottom left, though, is Aquinas. This is a team that has a ton of history. They came out of a tough region, but them as the 12 seed, I feel like they can make some noise.
Now let's look at the top right side of this bracket. Max, here I want to ask about this Landmark Christian team. What are you expecting to see out of them?
Well, one thing I do know about this Landmark Christian team is that Skylar Hamilton is the X factor for this team. He has had over about 1,900 passing yards this season, around 800 yards on the ground. That's combined with 36 total touchdowns this season so far. And another team in that top right-hand corner is Athens Academy, who has been stellar so far this season. That connection between quarterback Chap Chapman and wide receiver Keon Standifer has been excellent so far. Standifer has posted back-to-back 1,200-yard seasons. Last season, he had this season, he's had 19 receiving touchdowns. Last season, had 20. He just continued to be great so far for them.
And then, Max, also, what have you seen out of Holy Innocents?
Holy Innocents is a team that went 5-6 a year ago and has improved so far to 7-3. They've had close games with Hateville Charter and Carver Atlanta so far, 2 teams at the top of their classifications as well. They kind of got blown out by Blessed Trinity at the beginning of the season, but it's a team that has just kept on improving so far.
Now let's look at the bottom right side of this bracket. And, guys, here you're going to see Prince Avenue and Hebron Christian in this quadrant, but Prince Avenue actually just got beat by this Hebron Christian team. Talk to me about what you've seen from Prince Ave this season.
They've been inconsistent offensively. I feel like this is a team that's still searching for their identity this year. they have Andrew Beard offensively. He's as good as it comes, but they haven't really found a rhythm. They haven't been able to establish themselves. They were playing from behind in that Hebron game. That game got away from them very early on.
And then Hayden, also I mentioned Hebron Christian, you're going to see them. They're going to have a bye week. We got to talk to their head coach, Kenny Dallas, but they have been dominant all season. As I just mentioned, they've had wins over a team like Prince Avenue, Blessed Trinity, just been able to capitalize on both sides of the ball. What are you expecting out of them? And are you expecting them to make it all the way to the state finals?
I mean, I've chosen them to win it all. I think when you look at what they have, Jarvis Matherin and Devin Caldwell are probably the most explosive 1-2 punch in the entire state. When you look at what they bring to this team, they both can take any pass, any handoff from anywhere on the field all the way to the end zone. I think you should really fear this team because of that. They don't have to drive the field. So when you look at all that together, Hebron Christian is just a monster, and they've only gotten better, even though they lost 3 Power 4 recruits from last season.
Yeah. Well, real quick, where you mentioned those 2 players, Devin Caldwell, he's able to just establish the run. He's so good at just running in between the tackles, giving them that steady run game, and the explosiveness of Jarvis Matherin. Not even offensively, we've seen him in special teams, the kickoff returns. That explosive dynamic is so tough to defend against because if you try to focus in on the run, he is definitely going to beat you over the top.
And Max, I'll start with you, but just looking at this classification as a whole, who are some of the sleeper teams that you might have your eyes on?
Well, one team in particular that we talked about earlier is that Landmark Christian team. I just think Skylar Hamilton is that much of a difference maker for this team. With almost 1,900 passing yards and about 800 yards on the ground, 36 total touchdowns, this guy is a true player.
And then same thing for you, Craig. Who are some of those sleeper teams that you're going to be looking forward to seeing?
I've been really impressed with Greater Atlanta Christian this year. You got Michael Miller at quarterback. He's been playing great, putting up big numbers. They can light up the scoreboard. They've had a lot of close games, so sometimes it's some of the teams maybe they should be able to put away. They're in these shootouts, but they found ways to win. So I'm impressed by them. Wesleyan, they were replacing their quarterback this year, but they've had some big wins. And then that Lovett defense, I know they had some games where they got blown out this year, the Carver Atlanta game, but they're going to slow the game down and be able to rely on that defense.
And then Hayden, also same thing for you. Who are some of those sleeper teams you're going to have your eyes on?
I mean, Craig touched on this team a little bit earlier. Aquinas is a team that is really, really talented. They lost their starting quarterback for the year, but their star wide receiver, Virginia commit Jack Rhodes, when it has gone in there, he's played really well. They haven't had the season I think they were hoping for because of that injury, but they're so talented, they're so well coached that I think this team can beat any team on any given night and could make a run to the quarters or semifinals.
And guys, I also just want to continue talking about this Hebron Christian team. They won the state title last year. I have them predicted to go back and do it again this year, but when you look at what their predicted route to the state finals might be, would you consider them the clear favorite?
Yeah, what's so amazing is the fact that they won a state championship before they even won a region title. That's how quickly they've just burst to the scene, and they aren't going anywhere. This is, now that they have Coach Dallas there, he's a guy that built the Trinity Christian program from a Giza school to a state champion that was able to knock off the powerhouses like Elka, Prince Avenue Christian, and now he has the tools of Hebron Christian at his disposal. They have an incredible coaching staff, a great culture, and this has been a very bright year for them.
And then just overall, what are some of the most exciting matchups in this classification you're looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I think when you look at this first round especially, that Lovett Trinity Christian game is going to be one of the better first round matchups just because there's so many of the better teams that are on bye. Lovett's defense is one of the best units in this entire classification. However, their offense has been very suspect at times this year. If their defense plays well, it gives them a chance in any game they play. However, if their offense doesn't take a step forward at some point in this playoffs, they have no chance of winning.
Yeah, and there's obviously a lot of buys in this, but I'm interested in North Cobb Christian and Kingsbridge. North Cobb Christian, a number 20 seed, but you look at what they were able to do last season, go on the road, beat a Savannah Christian team. I feel like this is a big game for them to start the playoffs, not with a bye, but being able to go on the road. If they can get past a really tough Kingsbridge team, they'll have confidence going into that Calvary Day matchup and an opportunity to beat another Savannah school.
And then from this classification as a whole, who are maybe some of the underrated players you can have your eyes on?
Well, I think Keon Sandifer isn't underrated, but he's up there with Craig Dandridge. I think he's one of the best receivers in the entire state. You got Jordan Green from Hebron Christian. He's come in and played very well at the quarterback position. Really like James Mobley at Calvary Day. Hayden was mentioning some of the weapons they have, but he's been really solid at the quarterback position. And then Chapman at Athens Academy. Max was talking about his quarterback play. He's very experienced, 26 touchdowns this season, just 3 interceptions.
Now we're going to move on to our Duncan Dozen segment. We're going to look at some undefeated teams that are still left in the state of Georgia. Guys, when we look at all of these teams, they're absolutely explosive. Let's reveal our teams.
So this was where there's 24 total undefeated teams, and we kind of ranked them who are the most dominant, 1 through 12, regardless of classifications. So we're going to start, I believe, at the top, who our consensus number 1 was.
Okay, so here we have Sandy Creek, and guys, we mentioned they have players like Amari Latimer. Just talk about what you've seen from this program, and this is our number 12 team.
Oh, well, Sandy Creek this season, Amari Latimer, he is a guy that can play any position. He's in the running for our Mr. Georgia football. He's had games this year, 7 touchdowns in a game, unheard of, a true leader. He brings that confidence every time he steps on the field that the entire team benefits from.
Yeah, I think when you look at Amari, he is just that bell cow back that every college wants. He's the most dominant back in the state. It's only him and Will Rejecki that are even close to each other at the top of the most dominant backs in the state. He's just the engine behind one of the best teams in 3A.
And then, Max, I know that you've also had your eyes on Amari Latimer this season. Just how do you feel about his performance overall that you've seen?
Well, I just feel like he's the all-around, he's a new age running back that can just do everything for you. He's listed at 5'11", almost 230 pounds. He's a tank to bring down, and he's been a great player so far for Sandy Creek this far.
Now we're going to reveal our next team. In this number 11 spot, we have North Oconee. Guys, we mentioned we got to see them play earlier this season against Jefferson, but with this North Oconee team, they actually won the state title last year. This year, they've had to deal with a little bit of injuries with quarterback Harrison Faulkner and Kamari Brooks. But guys, just overall, talk to me about this program.
I just think with North Oconee, it's the consistency, and Rusty was talking about it. We've heard some other, I think Ben Walk on the show today. This is the program that's been the most consistent in 4A. They've dominated. The margin of victory has shrunk a little bit this season, but they continue to find ways to win. They have a ton of depth that they've still been able to take advantage of, and they're able to play complementary football.
Yeah, when you look at this team, they still have a bunch of weapons. Braxton Goolsby is a really good do-it-all slot receiver. Dallas Dickerson's a high 3-star Kentucky commit, just a really, really good wide receiver, one of the fastest players in the state. And then on defense, a name that should be familiar to a lot of Georgia fans, Harrison Luke, son of former Georgia offensive line coach Matt Luke. He's really, at this point, the leader of that defense with Kamari Brooks out, just playing really good. It is really taking on the leadership role that has been left open for him.
And then, Max, I mentioned this North Oconee team, they were able to get the state title last year, but do you see them being able to make a rerun?
It's hard to say no, even though they are dealing with injuries right now. this team, on just 2 occasions this season, has let up more than 10 points. Just 2 occasions. They've let up 0-7, 0-0-6. They just keep only 1 scores for other teams. Their defense has been rock solid so far.
Now we're going to look at this number 10 spot. Here we have Central Carrollton. Guys, what have you seen from them this season?
To me, it's just the senior leadership of this team. These are players that have been thrown out into the fire as freshmen and sophomores. Now it's their opportunity. They put the program on the map, and they are ready to go.
I think for me, it's the physicality of this team. J.R. Harris is a physical runner, and their passing attack is extremely physical. Then you add the Walton brothers, who, are really, really good running backs, and they're both really, really physical. While Jones is the senior, they just together bring this mentality of, we're going to run through you, we're going to run over you, and we're just going to really punish you for trying to tackle us and punish you for playing even on the same field as us.
Now at this number 9 spot, we're going to have Carver Columbus. And guys, I mentioned they have head coach Jarvis Jones, who actually came from the University of Georgia. Anytime that you have a coach coming from that collegiate level, you're probably going to have a good program. What have you seen from them?
Yeah, and of course, he's back at his alma mater too. This would be a great story, a first-year head coach leading his team, his alma mater, to a state title. For me, Carver Columbus is their defense. That's what makes them so dominant. They have a ton of speed offensively. They can turn it into a track meet. I felt like last year's state championship looked like a 7-on-7. They were scoring touchdowns without even getting a hand on them. But I feel like defensively, that's where they really stand out.
I think another place they really stand out is that offensive line. They have 3 Power 4 recruits on that offensive line, and at the 2A level, you're just not going to be able to compete with that. They also have 2 Power 4 running backs, just a plethora of talent that I don't think any school at that level can compete with.
Now at this number 8 spot, we have Cartersville. Guys, how did they earn this number 8 spot?
Yeah, I think they're very talented this year. They've been dominant, lighting up the scoreboard. They have Nate Russell at quarterback, very experienced. He's led them to incredible comeback games before. Now he's polished. He's leading this offense, and they've got a great team.
And then I want to look at the defensive side. Kylan Pope, Cole Crawford are a duo in that defensive front 7 that are second to none. They're really just dominating both the run and pass rush for this team.
Now at this number 7 spot, we have McEachern. Guys, we got to see them play earlier this season. In their secondary, they have players like Casey Barner, clearly able to make a huge impact on the field. What have you seen from them, and how are you expecting them to do?
To me, it's just how they turned it on in region play. They had that game against Marietta where their backs were against the wall. They found a way to win that, and then the focus has been there. Coach Reed has brought so much stability. They have a ton of young talent that has gotten into the fold this year. They've been able to fill in when there's injuries in the backfield. They're so deep at that position. I just feel like the Indians have found a way to get better and better, and we might not have even seen them at their best yet.
Yeah, I think when you look at this team, it's players like Nayland Scott, Ja'Cory Shockley, Casey Barner. Just the plethora of athletic talent that they have is just second to none.
And then Max, also you got to see them play this season. What makes them earn this spot?
It's like what Hayden just said with Ja'Cory Shockley and Nayland Scott as well. With those weapons they have on the outside, it really makes a difference for Pittman. And as a senior, I mean, he's thrown for over 1,200 yards, really taking that next step into making these Indians elite.
And now we're going to have in this number 6 spot, Langston Hughes. Guys, we saw them play earlier this season against Douglas County. What have you seen from them?
I really like Xavier Tiller at the tight end position. When you have that RPO running and they've got so much talent in the backfield, when they can go over to the top of that big target, he is going to be able to be a huge threat in the red zone.
Yeah, I think he's one of the most underrated players in the state. When you're on that play action pass in the red zone, it's almost unstoppable.
And then next we're going to have this number 5 spot, Creekside. I mentioned their offense is absolutely unmatched. They have quarterback Caden Benson. Guys, talk to me about Creekside.
Yeah, they've had games this year. We're checking the scoreboard, 70 points, 90 points. They play at such a fast pace. They're so well conditioned, and this has been such an exciting year for them.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want. They never take their foot off the gas. They're just always going 150 miles per hour.
And then next we're going to have Buford at this number 4 spot. You can never deny that this Buford team is absolutely dominant, a nationally ranked team. Guys, what makes this team so complete?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a college football team when you watch them out there with all the prospects. They have really impressed me this year.
Yeah, I think especially this year, they're just playing complete football.
And then in this number 3 spot, we have Thomas County Central, clearly dominant on both sides of the ball. Super excited to see what they're going to be able to do. Let's take a look at this number 2 spot. Now we have Carrollton, also a nationally ranked team. Guys, what have you seen from them?
Yeah, I mean, that win over Douglas County, I think that was the one we're all waiting for. They dominated that matchup, and they've just been, I think, even more improved from last year.
Yeah, I think when you look at this team, you look at a quarterback like C.J. Cipher, who is splitting time, but even as a freshman is looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
And then in this number 1 spot, second to none, you have the Grayson Rams. Super excited to see what they're going to be able to do in this playoff run. Those are our top 12 undefeated Duncan Dozen teams. We're going to be right back after this short break with more of the GHSA Drive for the State Title Bracket Show. Don't go anywhere.
Nothing is as pure and special as high school sports in the state of Georgia. And SCORE Atlanta is its #1 fan. High school sports are about families, kids chasing their dreams, communities supporting their teams year in and year out, neighborhood signs, and off-season workouts when nobody's looking. It's the biggest stage that young athletes get to climb for the very first time. And SCORE Atlanta wants to connect your brand with Georgia high school sports in ways that have never been available before. In addition to our Georgia High School Sports Daily Show, SCORE Atlanta provides continuous coverage of the Georgia high school football season through its televised games, stories, and rankings. SCORE Atlanta puts on some of the most notable events like the Corky Cal Dave Hunter Classic, the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame, and the Georgia Elite Classic. All of these elements offer sponsors exclusive opportunities and exposure. So let's talk about how you can reach millions of people who enjoy Georgia high school sports. For more information, contact SCORE Atlanta today.
Welcome back to the Drive for the GHSA State Title Bracket Show. Now we're going to welcome Don Core. Don, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's great to be here. I appreciate y'all having me.
So Don, I just want to start by asking about these power rankings. Can you just explain how they work?
Well, what we have is kind of like two parts. We have the ranking itself, which will be changing for next year. But we have what we call a PSR. So we have the winning percentage, which is 35% of the formula. Then we have the opponent's winning percentage, which is another 35% of the formula. And then we have the opponent's winning percentage, which is 30%. We add all of those together in that equation, and it's about strength of schedule. If you play good teams and you have a good winning percentage and all your opponents have a pretty good winning percentage, you'll do well on the postseason rankings. So it's about strength of schedule, and then, it's about regions. But this year, these last 2 years, the top 4 in each region were automatic qualifiers in the state championship. The state playoff. So we're going to go away from that because we wasn't getting the best 32 teams in the bracket sometimes. So next year, only person that's automatic qualifier will be the region champ, and they will be guaranteed a home game in the first round of the playoffs.
And then, Don, what went into that decision to not guarantee the first 2 spots, but only the region champion? What was the discussion around that?
Well, it's kind of been through stages. So this first part we went to get it implemented, and we just had the automatic qualifiers. So we still tried to say with some history here, and the top 4 teams went to the playoffs, okay? So that's what we did. When we found that out, there's some teams that just didn't belong. They wasn't really good enough. So we had some teams that wasn't playing a rigorous schedule, and we had some teams that just played their region games. We had teams that made the playoffs at 5 and 7 in volleyball, only played 12 volleyball games. Now, next year, there's going to be a minimum of 30 for volleyball to qualify. So we're still going to have the region alignment. The top person, top school in each region will be hosting a playoff game in every sport that we do PSR in. And then we're going to get the best. I always tell everybody we're going to get the best 30, 31 teams in almost all the time. And sometimes we're going to get the best 32 in. And not all regions are created equal. So the committee decided to go this route, and because they like the PSR, they like the formula, and then they like trying to get the best 32 teams in. Now, also with the formula, it keeps just the old drawing the brackets and changing the rotation every year wasn't getting it done, because sometimes we'd have the top 2 teams in the bracket meet in the quarters of the semis. And that's just not good for our high school sport. We want the best 2 teams, unless one of them just really gets upset somewhere along the line. We want them in the final. We definitely want them in the semis, but we wouldn't want those best teams in that classification. We hope those ones get to the semifinals.
And then, Don, I wanted to ask about just through the first 2 years of using the PSR rankings, what as a organization have y'all learned, and what may y'all tweak moving forward into next year? Well,
the committee, the reclass committee has talked about maybe changing the percentages in the PSR a little bit. I don't have a vote in any of this. I can just tell you that we do exactly what the reclass committee puts up before the full executive committee, then the full exec committee passes, and that's what we do. You know, it's pretty interesting. We've gone back, I've been going around the state and talking about the PSR and the changes from this year to next year. You know, that's just like in softball. You know, we don't do PSR in 7A softball, but we went back. In PSR, the number 1 and number 2 team was Buford and East Coweta, and they played in the finals. So, you know, and we went through a lot of the volleyball, and the 1s and 2s were there at the finals, or they were there at the semifinals. So I think the PSR is a pretty good predictor of the best teams in the state. It's got its flaws, and we're trying to fix some of those, but we feel good about it. We feel good about the new system. We feel good about the automatic qualifiers only being region champs. And we're going to see how it turns out.
And then, Don, in football, we have this built-in bye week, so the teams in the classifications that have the ratings kind of have time to look at who their opponents are. But when you look at the other sports finishing up, is that a concern where the season might end and then the playoffs are starting, they don't really have enough time?
Well, what we're trying to do, like for softball, they ended on a Thursday. Okay, and the playoffs started on a Monday. So they ended on a Thursday, and we did the PSR on a Friday. We did the bracket reveal on a Friday. So we're in a spot now where the ADs and everybody's getting stuff entered really good. We got a new way of fixing errors in the system. So we got it fine-tuned. So we feel we're getting really good numbers, and the PSRs are turning out pretty good. So we can turn it around one day, the next day after. You know, football, we had a game on Saturday, so we turned it around and did it on Sunday. So football being a Friday, you know, it'd be tough to do for a Saturday, but we did it for Sunday. Volleyball was ended on a Saturday. We turned it around on a Sunday. So we turn it around as quick as possible. I think you're going to see some, instead of our seasons ending on Friday and Saturday, our regular season, you're going to start seeing things end on a Thursday so we can turn the PSR around.
And then, Don, just talk to me a little bit about how these power rankings might work for some other sports.
Well, it's the same formula for everything. It's the RPI from the NCAA. They use it for 8 or 9 sports. It's tweaked to be more of a high school formula. So it'll work the same. It's been good across the board. I can tell you I've done 3 shows with bracket reveals this year. We didn't have a question about the seeding as far as on the Zoom calls when we rolled out the seeding and everything. You know, we have questions about why this and that, and we can explain those, you know. But there's a lot more teams that were deserving to get into the playoffs this fall that didn't make it, that will make it next year. So we're going to get 30 to 32 of the best teams. There might be somebody slip in that maybe is not good enough to be there, but we're going to get the best teams in this way. You know, in the past, and y'all are well aware, we have a region that would get swept in the first round just by pairings in the bracket. So depending on who this region 1 and 7A, 6A was hooked up, was going to play all of 5A. And so one of those might sweep. The 4 is going to beat the 1, and all the way down, it's going to happen that way. So that's something we're trying to eliminate and try to get the best teams into the playoffs.
Again, that was Don Poor, Associate Director of the GHSA. Don, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank y'all. Y'all do a great job. We appreciate it.
Now we're going to welcome Reggie Graham to the set. Reggie, I want to ask, we are preparing for these playoffs. Just tell me about some revenge games that you have your eyes on heading into the playoffs.
You know, one game that's really kind of catching my eye is the potential matchup of Roswell versus TCC in the Final Four. And why this one catches my eye is because Roswell is coached by Coach Jonathan Thompson, who was the offensive coordinator for Lee County just last year. Now, when he was the offensive coordinator for Lee County won that region, and they beat TCC. Now, so an opportunity for them to play again. I feel like maybe Lee County or Roswell has a bit of an edge going into this game, as Coach Thompson knows in and out and everything that they want to do.
And then, Reggie, when you mention revenge games, one that stands out is going to be Coffee against Sequoia. Last year, Coffee ran all over them. I feel like Sequoia, they're going to be at home. This is going to be an interesting revenge opportunity.
You know, I think this one is going to be really interesting because, you know, Coffee comes in as a 4 seed here in the playoffs playing against a 1 seed Sequoia. But Coffee's played some tough games. You know, just last week or a couple weeks ago, they played Lee County really tough. They played TCC really tough at halftime. I think it was 14-3 in that game. And so Coffee is not a team that teams should be sleeping on. And Sequoia, I know they're going to be prepared going into that game because they have to be, especially after what happened last year. But there's another game that really kind of catches my eye as well, and the potential matchup of Carrollton versus Buford. You know, Carrollton beat Buford, if I'm not mistaken, last year in the playoffs, 30-17. And one thing that's interesting about these 6A teams is that a lot of times they don't really play each other during the year, and the only time they play is in the playoffs. And so what you have here is an opportunity for a Buford team who could face this team, and they've been stewing on it, they've been thinking about it, they've been lighting it up, they've been talking about it, and now if they get to match up in that opportunity again, look for Buford to be really prepared, and look for Carrollton to go out there and feel like, hey, we've already beat you once and we can beat you again.
Then, Reggie, another big possible revenge game for Carrollton before they could even play Buford would be them playing Grayson. A state championship rematch from a year ago. Grayson somewhat upset Carrollton, as much as you can call it an upset in the state championship game. How big of a revenge game is that?
That's also another big revenge game as well. I mean, you look at what the expectations are for a team like Grayson and expectations are for a team like Carrollton. You know, leaving, not making it to the Final Four or not making it to the Elite Eight, like those situations are something that they don't prepare for when they go into the season. They don't prepare for those moments. They prepare to be playing late into November and definitely into December. So when you have to play these teams early on in the playoffs, sometimes you might run into these situations, and that puts more pressure on the players in this game and the coaches associated.
And Reggie, I also just want to ask about maybe some of your sleeper teams this season, offensively and defensively, that you've seen in some of these classifications.
Oh, man, there's a lot of teams out there. I'm a big fan of what Coach Josh Robinson's doing out there at Northwest Whitfield. I think they have a bit of a tough draw, but I'd like to see what they can do because although their defense has given up a lot of points, their offense has been basically unstoppable. Gavin Knuckles, the quarterback there, just was named as the co-offensive player of the year in that region. So, I mean, Northwest Whitfield has an opportunity to really surprise some people. Also, you're looking at Holy Innocents, man. I've seen Holy Innocents play a couple of games this year, and quarterback Ryan Woods, like, he's up and down. So if you catch him on an up day, you catch him when he reads the defense, he sees what's going on, and he's really confident out there, you'll see a lot of great things out of Ryan Woods.
Yeah, and I think in 2A, you could have a potential quarterfinal rematch between Rockmart and Burke County. I want to talk about 6A, though, Reggie, with McEachern and Walton. McEachern opened the season against Walton, 50-17 victory. They're going to play again, first round of the playoffs. Walton's going to try to make it a little more competitive, but what do you think about that? Just teams, two Cobb County teams that typically don't play every season, but two matchups in the same year.
I think if you're looking at it from the Walton perspective, this season was not the season that they anticipated. This wasn't the type of year that they wanted. So when you're looking at Walton, Walton's like, hey, that first game was not a representation of who we are and what we stand for. So they're coming into this game saying, hey, we got some wrongs that we need to right. And starting off with McEachern, no better way, really, to start the playoffs for a team like Walton, if you really want to do something, is you playing against McEachern, the team that had beat you earlier in the season.
And then we haven't even mentioned our first-round matchup's a great one. It's going to be Lee County against Sprayberry. Sprayberry's a team that I feel like they have a bitter taste in their mouth. They feel like they're a team that can make a deeper run than they did last year. What do you think just about that Lee County-Sprayberry matchup, big-time 5A?
I was already looking at that matchup, man. That matchup really had me excited. One thing that I'm really ready to see is the matchup on the edge between Jordan Edmonds and I can't remember the cornerback name for Lee County. He's committed to Nebraska, 3-star. He's 6'3", about 190 pounds out there. Those two guys are going to be going back and forth every single play, and that's the type of matchup that I want to see. Also, just looking at what Lee County brings to the table, they got their quarterback back, and that guy is a dual-threat athlete, one of the best quarterbacks down in South Georgia. And he's looking to make a statement. He's looking to, really kind of cement himself and kind of get back on track. He's missed most of the season. So now that he's back and now he's on the field, he's looking to really just drive this team forward. And mind you, Lee County did go to the Final Four last year.
And then, Reggie, just talk to us a little bit about some teams that you've seen grow from last season, just some improvement you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of teams that have really gotten a lot better and has really been impressive this year. I just think that it's not really the teams that, made the jump last year or from last year to this year because, I'm new to the state. I can't tell you everything that everybody was doing, but what I can tell you is that there were some teams that really started off really rocky. We talked about Marietta and the run that Marietta went on after starting 0-4. There are some teams that looked a little bit suspect. When you look at Kell early on in the season and how Kell performed in the Corky Classic, and you would think that, hey, maybe Kell doesn't have it going on. Even in that game against BT where it was 3-0, like, come on, you got Mooney Gibson, you got all those guys there. A lot of people were expecting a lot of things out of them. And then after that game, you've really seen Kell just kind of explode offensively and defensively where they've really kind of stood out.
And then, Reggie, I wanted to ask, one of the bigger 6A matchups, I think Buford pulled about as tough as a 4C as they could pull in Richmond Hill. That Region 1 is really loaded. Richmond Hill is a really good team, and now they're going to have to come all the way up to Buford and play Buford. Just talk to me about that.
Yeah, I've been told Richmond Hill is one of those teams that you can't sleep on, so I'm out here doing a lot of research on those guys right now as we speak. What I do know is that when you have a team like Buford, there's times in the season where it's kind of like, there's some rat poison here. You got a lull here. You can fall asleep. You're going to beat this team, and you really got to stay focused and focus for moments like this because now those games you don't have that opportunity to sit back, relax, and kind of chill and wait till the next week. Now every game is very important. A lot of coaches say 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Well, yeah, this is the time where you have to definitely be 1-0, and it doesn't matter how you win. It doesn't matter how Buford wins. Buford obviously would want to win this game the same way they've won all their other games, but there's no way that you can expect that out of this situation. So, and the same thing coming with Richmond Hill. Those guys are looking to come out here and make a statement. And I mean, who wouldn't want to play Buford and make that statement in the first round of the playoffs to really let everybody know that, Richmond Hill is ready for that action?
Well, Reggie, we always love hearing from you. Super excited to have you here in the studio tonight. We'll be right back after this short break with more of the Drive for the GHSA State Title Bracket Show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Drive for the GHSA State Title Bracket Show. Now it is time for a little bit of a fun bracket. We have our Dunkin' Sip or Snack Bracket. Brackets run better on Dunkin'. The GHSA brackets are set, but now it is time to lock in your predictions for the sweetest bracket ever released. If you want to join in on the fun, you can join in on social media, tweet at us, and let us know that you did the challenge. But tonight we're going to have two different teams on our refreshers teams. I will be on there, Jordan will be on there, and Craig will be on there. On our donut team, we will have Max, Hayden, and Jack. Guys, I'm going to let y'all start off with this first round of the bracket. Y'all are going to have blueberry munchkins and jelly munchkins. Let's get into it.
It's the blueberry. No, that one's blueberry.
How are you feeling, guys?
Really good.
Okay, next on this
10 out of 10.
on this matchup, we have our jelly munchkins. Guys, go ahead and dive in and let me know your thoughts. Jack, how are you feeling over there?
This jelly donut, this is tremendous, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the jelly just transferred from the donut to the munchkin division.
I believe so.
This is a strong start.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, what are y'all's overall takes? What are you feeling? Who's going to win this matchup?
I would say blueberry wins this one just because I like the glaze on the outside. Really good.
I completely agree. I think the glaze just wins it for me. It's just a perfect munchkin.
Agreed.
I'm in the minority. I was going to go jelly, but 2 beats 1, so blueberry.
All right, guys, it looks like blueberry is going to take the win. I'm going to go ahead and get that filled in on my bracket. But now we're going to start off with this first round of our refreshers. We're going to have the Blueberry Breeze and the Berry Sangria, guys. Let's start off with our Blueberry Breeze. Cheers. You know, this is really hitting the spot after talking a lot. I think this is absolutely delicious. Craig, what are your thoughts?
I love blueberries. I love huckleberries. This is amazing. I like it. So this is going to be tough to beat.
Jordan?
Yeah, I love blueberries so much. It just really hits the spot for me. I'm liking this one a lot so far.
Next, we are going to have our Berry Sangria, guys. Let's go ahead and take a sip of this one.
Ooh, this one's a little spicier in a good way.
A little tangy.
Man. I'm going to go with blueberry, though. I'm just obsessed with blueberry. I eat more blueberry toaster strudels, jelly in my life than probably any human ever. I got to go blueberry.
While both of these were absolutely delicious and much needed, I'm also going to take the Blueberry Breeze for the win here. Jordan, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to third that. The Blueberry Breeze hits the spot for me. I like the Berry Sangria a lot, though, too. It has a more holiday flavor, but blueberry for me is going to take it.
Well, it looks like it's a good night to be a blueberry for the munchkins and the refreshers. Guys, let's dive into the next round of donuts. We have glazed munchkins and chocolate glazed munchkins. How are you feeling, guys?
I mean, how do you go wrong with a glazed donut? I mean,
it really doesn't get much better than that.
That is
Jack?
the standard dominant munchkin year after year. The glazed munchkin shows up. Perennial state championship contender, the glazed munchkin.
All right, and I feel like you can never go wrong with chocolate either. Let's dive into these chocolate glazed munchkins.
The only way you can get better than a glazed donut is a chocolate glazed donut. And I think, yeah.
Let me say this, the chocolate region is stacked year after year. This is a powerhouse matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if the winner of this matchup ends up winning it all.
Agreed.
But blueberry had a strong start, so let's keep our eyes on that one.
I don't know. I think this may have been an upset for me. I think the glaze may have taken it, Jack.
No, I agree. I don't think that's an upset at all.
Ooh, is it not?
A great munchkin.
I would have to go the chocolate over the regular glaze there.
Okay, so we are going to take glaze for the win overall?
2-1, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're
By
going to take
split decision, it's glazed donut.
glaze for that win. And now we're going to try the mango pineapple refresher and the strawberry dragon fruit refresher. Guys, let's start off with this mango pineapple. This might be the best one I have tried yet. You can never go wrong with anything Dunkin', but this one is extra hitting the spot right now.
I love mango. The mango is definitely more dominant than the pineapple, so if you like mango, this is where it's at.
Jordan?
I love mango too, personally. I love all fruits in general, but this one's really good for me. I love tropical stuff, so strawberry might be a little hard to beat, but we'll see.
Now let's take a sip of this strawberry dragon fruit. As you can see, the color is absolutely vibrant pink, which already makes it better.
It's good, man. It's strong strawberry flavor. I really like it.
Craig, who are you taking for the win, mango or strawberry?
Strawberry is lingering the taste. I really like it. I'm going with the mango, though. I just like the mango, I like the tropical feel. That would get me going in the morning.
I have to agree. Even though the pink is absolutely incredible, I'm going to take the mango for the win as well. Jordan, we'll throw it to you.
I gotta take mango too. They're both really good. They both hit the spot. They're both really refreshing. But for me, mango takes it. Mango's just better overall.
Okay, so we're going to take mango 3-0 right there. But guys, now we're going to look at this blueberry munchkin versus glazed munchkins matchup. What a hard game, guys. Tell me your thoughts. Let's take one more bite. Do we have any more left?
I wish.
They're gone.
For me, though, nothing beats the original. I think glaze beats blueberry, and that should be that.
I mean, I kind of have to agree. I love the blueberry, but the glaze is just perfect.
Jack, you have a big decision to make over here.
This is for, here, we're going to do a last taste test between blueberry and glaze to determine whether none of the flavors I need are in that box. Blueberry. A strong start from blueberry. Very good. Now your classic glaze.
Little crumbs over there, Jack.
A few crumbs. I'm enjoying myself. I think this tiebreaker here is going to go to the glazed munchkin to the finals.
Jack, we're going to bring you a refresher to the set as well. That way you can wash that donut down.
Ah, that's good. Remind me of this flavor.
Mango dragon fruit.
Mango dragon fruit.
Or mango pineapple, sorry.
Mango pineapple.
Okay, guys, so
Flavor as well.
overall here, are we taking glaze for the win?
I think we are.
All right, looks like glaze is going to state. Okay, then guys, now we have this blueberry and mango refresher. I think I'm gonna have to try them one more time to give my final thoughts. That is good. You know, nothing is better than when something reminds me of being at the beach, and when I take a sip of that mango pineapple, I can just see sand in the ocean. I'm gonna take mango pineapple heading to the state playoffs.
I've got to go with blueberry. That one, to me, is my favorite. It tastes just as good as the first time. I'm sticking with blueberry.
Jordan?
Mango. I'm sorry.
no.
Mango.
Wow.
Tastes like
Ooh,
mint.
an upset.
Relax. It's refreshing. Blueberry is good though, I will say, but mango, they're gonna take it all.
And guys, we're gonna kind of have a hard choice to make because I know, guys, you weren't able to try these refreshers, but now we have glaze and mango going to the state playoffs. And honestly, what I think would truly be a win is that mango refresher paired with the glazed donuts. But guys, we're gonna go one by one. Who are we taking for that final win? We'll start with you, Max.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Glazed donut.
Completely agree. Glazed donut, it's for the win. Nothing better.
Craig?
I'm a refresher guy. I drink a ton of drinks every single day. I think I would go with that for breakfast.
I'm gonna have to go with that mango refresher as well. We're gonna be really split here.
2 versus 2.
Jordan?
Mango, sorry. I like donuts, but refreshers are just better. They hit the spot.
I don't know what the overtime rules are in this Dunkin' Donuts sport, but this could be a tie game in overtime if the rules allow for that to be the case. But I'm going to stick with my guns, and I think the glazed donut takes the crown.
You know what? Honestly, we're just going to call it a tie because you can't go wrong with Dunkin' ever. So if you want a really great treat, get a mango pineapple refresher and some glazed donuts. If you want to join in on the fun, join in on social media. You can tweet and join in on the Fun Bracket Show. Guys, now we're just going to talk a little bit about our thoughts overall as a whole. What are you guys most excited about heading into the playoffs? We're just going to kind of go one by one. Max, we'll start with you.
One by one. Let's see. Most excited to see these teams really get back into action after a long week break, especially our game, Lee County and Sprayberry, with two great teams. You look like Jordan Edmonds, a 5-star for Sprayberry, plays on both sides of the ball, really great player, wide receiver and corner for them, really makes great plays on both sides of the ball.
Hayden?
Yeah, I think when I look at it, I'm really looking forward to that team that finds a way to upset someone in the first round, make a deep run in the playoffs. A few years ago, we saw Camden County make a run all the way to the semifinals and as a 4 seed in the 7A playoffs. And it's always so fun. There's always that one, at least one or two teams that make that really, really deep playoff run when they weren't expected to. And it's always the storyline that I love talking about all the way through the playoffs and even into the next year, because we've seen teams really build that into dominant programs.
Yeah, the playoffs, this is where legends are made. I feel like we've seen a ton of great games this season. We've seen a lot of first-year coaches. I think what Roswell's been able to do, winning the region, getting that home field advantage, teams like Valdosta, winning the region, getting the home field advantage, that's something that these programs are really going to try to defend. Defending that home turf is what I like.
I have to say that I am most looking forward to this 6A and 5A classification. In the 6A classification, we've talked about it all night, but you're going to see 3 nationally ranked teams. That's Grayson, Buford, and Carrollton, 3 dominant programs. Super excited to see what they're going to be able to do. But also, Craig, you took the words out of my mouth in that 5A classification. I'm super excited to see this Roswell team. They might not have the easiest road necessary to the state title, but I do feel like their offense has been able to capitalize, get the job done this season. Now we're going to throw it over to Jack and Jordan.
I'm very excited for 6A, obviously being able to watch Grayson, Buford, Carrollton, and then in 4A being able to watch my boys, the Kettle Longhorns, try to make a deep run, and then Sandy Creek in 3A, Amari Latimer. Always fun watching those guys. And then what I was talking about earlier in Class A, seeing if Bowden can win another state title, 5 undefeated teams in that bracket. That's going to be fun to watch. See who goes down, see who survives that bracket. Any classification, take your pick. It's going to be fun football.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun few weeks for everyone.
And then we are also going to have our game of the week next week is going to be Lee County versus Sprayberry. And I just want to mention earlier in the show, we got to hear from Roswell head coach Jonathan Thompson, but he actually came from Lee County. And what I want to say about the leadership under this program is Roswell and Milton saw each other last week. Milton actually defeated Lee County out of the playoffs last year, but I think that his leadership is absolutely unmatched this season. But back to this Lee County Sprayberry matchup, we also got to see Sprayberry play earlier this season. Guys, just talk to me about some players you're looking forward to watching this matchup overall. Craig, we'll start with you.
Well, you got Jordan Edmonds. He's going to be probably the highest rated prospect in this matchup. We'll see him play offense and defense, but Jaden Duckett at the quarterback position, he's been the go-to guy that has really led Sprayberry the last 2 years on this historic run, and he's had big performances this year. The game against Creekview, they were coming off a tough loss to Sequoia. They're in overtime. Their coach dials his number for the game-winning 2-point conversion, something that is a very tough gamble to do, but they had some issues with the kicking game in that, and then he delivered, found the end zone. I think Jaden Duckett has that clutch factor. This is a big matchup against him. Lee County is extremely talented, but I like his experience.
Yeah, what I think I'm looking forward to in this matchup is that these two really, really mobile, really good quarterbacks. I'm interested to see how these defenses that are both really good defenses kind of adjust to these running quarterbacks, because we've seen so many times how dangerous those running quarterbacks can be and how they really change the game.
I agree. I think Jaden Duckett is a really big difference maker for them. He's really an X factor with his legs and what he can do throwing the ball as well. But when you look at Jordan Edmonds on the other side of the ball and his counterpart, Keelan Jones as well, I just think the Georgia commit make a big difference for them as well.
And then, Craig, just talk us through this coaching battle going into this game.
Well, it's interesting. Well, you mentioned with Lee County, Coach Fabrizio is still there, but these are two just experienced teams, and even Coach Fomanier coming over there from Hiram, he's a first-year head coach, but the seniors were there, and he's been able to really be the right man for the job.
Yeah, I think when you look at this coaching matchup, you have two really experienced head coaches that have been there and done that, especially when you look at Dean Fabrizio at Lee County, 2 state titles, another appearance. Last year, they were probably a top 3, no less than a top 3 team, maybe the second best team in 5A. They lost in the semifinals to Milton. But year in, year out, they are always playing up to, if not past, their level of talent.
Well, guys, when you look at all these classifications, there is so much to look forward to, truly heading into the playoffs. So much talent in the state of Georgia. I'm looking forward to seeing. Thank you for tuning in with us here for the drive for the GHSA State Title Bracket Show, and we will be right back here next week with Georgia High School Sports Daily.
We saw some squirrels were trying to get into the attic. I hear those squirrels still scampering through because I didn't go through those services initially.
Our job is to go up there and figure out where they're getting in and trap and remove and get those unwanted guests out. But then the next big step is not just seal the entry point where the critter got in, but seal the entire roof line. The most common mistake is only sealing the entry point you see.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me, can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutoSpa.com and get started today.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting GoGCSO.com.